you must never reclaim your old selves. Yeah, it's skilled, obviously. Become my loyal servants. Always at my side. I should remember this is where we left off. And curse them with me, my dears. Eternal suffering on all their souls. You know, no, it's fine. Normal stuff. So yeah, they seem like such a nice person. My consciousness wavered like a ship at sea. Wavering like a ship at sea is slowly drawn back to the surface. With each new breath, feeling gradually returns to my fingers. I can hear the pattering of rain from somewhere, and the sound of a crackling fire. Queak, queak, queak. Splurt, splurt, splurt. That's what fire and rain sound like. It takes a moment for me to realize I am in the very same spot where I first awoke. I don't know how I got here, but I'm sitting in a rocking chair, hunched forward. My head feels like someone filled it with rocks, and I'm having difficulty focusing. My joints are creaking, and I feel like I'm going to vomit. A suffocating odor hangs over the room. What is this? Giselle? Giselle! Everything comes back to me all at once. That's right. I watched Morgana kidnap her. I watched the witch drag her into the darkness, unable to reach her hand. Where are you, Morgana? Ugh. I know you're there, cackling as you look down on me. Say something, witch. I will find you. I will take her back. What on earth? It's a pool of liquid at my feet, rising just short of my ankles. It's sticky and uncomfortably warm. Every step I take makes splat splat noises. This is blood. Yeah, blood up to the ankles. The mansion has taken on a very different face from when Giselle was leading me through its halls. Blood of unknown origin not only covers the floor, but also streams down the walls and drips from the ceiling. Oh. I'm speechless as I behold the dreadful scene. Every breath I take tastes and smells of rust. It's also unreal. You playing Doom now? Apparently, I think Morgana's been playing Doom this whole time. Beyond my comprehension, all I can do is stare aghast, feeling like I might pass out. Giselle, are you seeing this? The same twisted nightmare as me? An image of her floating alone in a vast sea of blood flashes through my mind. Vision kicks me into motion. I promise I will come for you, so please just hang in there for a little longer. I began walking, or more accurately, dragging my heavy feet forward. The constant splashing of blood against my ankles grates at my already taut nerves. Morgana told me to find my way to her, and I can think of only one place she would be. She and Giselle must be there. Also, hey Topaz, how's it going? Welcome to back to Land in the Chat. Enjoy the lurk. See ya. Stained glass window is splattered with blood too. It creates trails like streams of tears running down the Archangel's face. I gave the window a brief glance before making my way to the door leading to the observation tower. However, why won't it open? This shouldn't be a lock. So why? Lustrous black chains seal the metal door. I can recall no such obstruction present during either my life or my time hereafter. What on earth is going on in this house? No, that's not important right now. What matters is making it through this door. Damn it! I pull and I push, but the chains won't give an inch. They feel sturdy enough that I probably couldn't cut through them either. There has to be some way. I consider giving up here and scouring the rest of the house, but I'm convinced the tower is my best chance. The fact that it's sealed now when it hadn't been before feels like a challenge more than a deterrent. I trace a length of chain with my hand, and at the end of it I find a peculiar-looking lock into which the ends of several chains have been fed. There are 3 keyholes? Morgana fashioned a custom lock just for this? I need to find 3 keys to open the door, then. But I have no idea where to begin my search. I lived here for more than 10 years, and yet it feels like I've stepped into a strange land. No, it's not the same house. Now in RE, yeah, I mean, you know. I mean, the fact that they're still shaped like keys means it's only barely RE. It should be like emblems with eagles and umbrellas on them. Searching blindly is only going to waste time, and the longer I take, the more danger she's in. I met someone before who had a key. It was before I had reclaimed myself, when I was exploring the mansion alone. Think, Mikhail, who was it? The painting. Now, don't ask me where the painting was. I remember it was the painting. I do not remember, like, whereabouts in the layout of the house. Thankfully, he remembers, so cool. Oh, you're right. We need the different emblems to get the different keys. We need 3 emblems per key for each of the 3 keys to open the one lock to the multiple chains to the door that has the girl behind it. Yes. Like everything else in the house, the painting is covered in blood. That it depicts a serene, rural landscape only makes the contrast much grimmer. I remember talking to this painting. Assuming I wasn't hallucinating, I have a question for you. Are you awake? Please, wake up. Ah. Can you hear my voice? Please say something. Ah. You reside here in the house, like the witch, don't you? You've been here with her all this time, haven't you? Then you must know how to get into the observation tower. About the 3 keys that I need to open the lock. I need to get into the tower. Please tell me where I can find the keys. Say something, damn it. Answer my question. Huh. Someone there? What? What's the matter? I feel kind of strange. Did the witch do something to me? Please, get a hold of yourself. Everything's all red. I can't stand it. I don't remember using that color. I reach my hand up to try to wipe as much of the blood off the canvas as possible, but I can't even smear it with my sleeve, let alone get it off. You're wasting your time, but it's the thought that counts. Anyway, you had a question for me? Go on, I'm listening. Guess the painting isn't on the witch's side, then. The door to the observation tower has been locked. I need to gather 3 keys, I think. Each of the keys is shaped like an elephant or something. Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. That's my assumption, since the lock has 3 keyholes. Do you know of any such keys? And if so, could you tell me where they might be? Keys? Keys. Please stay with me. You're the only one I can ask for help. Keys. I'm guessing this is probably in some way, comparably in some way, connected to her past. Her past? You know, the events the witch is always cursing about. What happened between her and the 3 men? What happened between them? The keys are probably with the 3 of them. The 3 shadows. You must have seen them. Hey man, shadows. Find them. And you'll probably find the keys to the keys too. But watch yourself. They aren't all likely to trust you easily. The depths of their sins grows greater the further you go. Visit them in order. The first one probably won't be a problem. So, tell me something. You're Mikhail, aren't you? What? I've wanted to apologize to you for so... Wait. What do you mean? Do you know me? Did you? What do you want to apologize for? Tell me, please. Could you be... But why? How? Song of Three Men? Yes, clearly. When everything else is finished, I'm going to need to visit this painting again. But now I have other things to do. The painting gave me a hint where I could find the keys. I get the feeling we have a choice coming up, and I also get the feeling I'm going to make the wrong choice. Also, I'm going to start saving in actual order. I feel like it has not been helpful that I will be like, save here, 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 here. So, I don't know anything about this past Morgana has with the three men. I never asked her about herself, after all. So maybe I'm going to end up having to do more than simply take Giselle back. Has our involvement with the witch caused us to be swept up in her twisted maelstrom of fate? Random save spots add to the mystery. Yeah, and they lead to us wasting like 10 minutes at the beginning of the stream just reading the cellar again. But you know, that's fine. It's causing so much. I normally don't do it that way, and I don't know why it has happened this way. You've seen me play plenty enough visual novels where I go in order. I don't know why this has been the exception. Regardless, I need to get to work. The painting said to visit them in order. I assume he was referring to the order I entered the 3 doors? Maybe? Here's a choice. It's taken too long to come up with the next thing. That usually means a choice. Okay. So it was inverse order here. It was Rose Garden, Cellar, Den, right? I'm going to go with what he specified you should go in order. I'm going to try to go for the thing I think is correct and I want to do, and we will come back if other paths seem like something that can get us an ending or something. But I'm picking the logical, this was the first one. If there are other paths we can take to different endings, we'll come back for those. That's what I'm trying to save a little more often. I make my way to the Rose Garden also. Okay. It's been a while, and I kind of doubt anything else is going to happen, but also, like, you know, why wouldn't I check it? Make my way to the Rose Garden. I've never had a game make me this paranoid about checking the backlog. The corridor leading there is a mess, and the wooden door is rotting away. I can smell the flowers on the other side, but everything is different from when I was alive, from when Giselle planted and raised that single rose. Oh, you need a liquor in? Oh yeah, for sure. This current version of the mansion is very like Resident Evil to some degree. Sorry, my brother just messaged me. I don't think it's gonna be... Oh, okay, gotcha. A scene from the past spreads out before me. The field of once proudly flourishing roses is now weathered and gray. Knowing how beautiful it had once been only makes it that much more despairing. A bitter breeze brushes past me. It should have been a bitter breeze brushes by. Come on! Always aim to alliterate, you cowards! Solitude hangs over the garden like a thick fog eating away at me. This isn't what I wanted. Someone get me out of here. Oh God. Tell me it's not all my fault. A young man's shadow stands off to the side, muttering listlessly to himself. I recognize his voice. Do you have the key? The boy and I have never met, but I feel like I know him quite well. Like we've been acquainted for many years. I know how polite and mild-mannered he is. I know how kind and how vulnerable, how human his heart is. However, very little of that boy seems to remain. This isn't what I wanted. Oh God, please answer me. Someone get me out of here. Tell me it's not all my fault. Answer me, Mel Rhodes. I know that it's you. Huh? As soon as I say the shadow's name, it turns to face me. I still can't make out much detail, but he seems slightly less tenuous now. Who are you? How do you know my name? My name is Mikhail. I once lived here in this mansion. Michelle. Why? Like, I get it. I know I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time, but also, why two names spelled differently pronounced same? Yeah, you're right, because French. Damn it. I know that name. I know it very well, but something's not right. You look different from the Michelle I remember. I'm not the Michelle you know. Our names simply sound the same. Should add another layer to it. We really should not. Oh, that makes sense. She would never come see me. I have a question for you. Do you have the key to the observation tower? I do. Would you please give it to me? I need to get into the tower. Speak in the way that danger would. What do you need there? There's someone there that I need to find. That's all. It may not sound like much to you, but it means a great deal to me. You're not one of her prisoners, then? No. I came here of my own will. To find this person? Exactly. Then maybe you can help me. Help you how? Set me free. Convince her to release me from this place. I'm begging you. The anguish emanating from the boy's shadow is so thick it causes me to recoil. There's a thread of dark desperation in his voice. Excuse me. Has he been imprisoned here for hundreds of years like Giselle? Promise me, you'll get me out of here. I mean, I can promise you I'll try. Am I even equipped to judge whether that would be a good decision or not? All I know of him is his time in the mansion during his era of roses. I know nothing else of his life. I don't even know if I would be capable of keeping such a promise. Do I have the strength to save anyone other than her? Do you absolutely need the key? You won't agree to help me without it, will you? What? I dropped it. Over there. Huh? Boy is pointing to a thick bramble of roses. Despite the flowers themselves being wilted, the thorns are still sharp. It was an accident, I swear, but I didn't want to scratch up my arm, so I left it there. It's not my fault there are so many thorns. I really want to hit this boy. Why couldn't you have just said so? Because I thought, if I didn't have the key, that you wouldn't help me. There's only so much I can do, regardless of whether you have the key. I cannot promise you anything, nor can I be the judge of you. I say, do not have enough information to make such a decision. Cheap promises and superficial kindnesses will only serve to destroy the both of us. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to retrieve the key. What? You'll never get it out of those thorns. I don't care if it's at the bottom of the ocean. I will have that key. You're wasting your time. I approach the bramble, reaching out for it with my right hand. From behind me, I can sense the boy watching. First, I attempt to spread the tangled thorn-ridden stems so I can put my arm in without injuring myself. But they seem to be made of iron rather than plant. My efforts prove mostly fruitless. The only opening is barely large enough to fit an arm in and resembles the toothy mouth of a beast. Looking around the garden, I can't find anything that looks remotely useful. Nope, apparently nothing remotely useful. Guess my only option is reaching in. It's not going to stop me. I lean down, inserting my right arm into the thorny cavern. Immediately they began ripping at my sleeve and gnashing at my flesh. Ugh. Blood spills down my arm. I'm long since dead, no longer human, but the pain is still agonizing, still very much real. Yeah, there's always an answer. Giselle, she doesn't bleed, she doesn't feel pain. Am I not the same as her then? Doesn't matter right now. Focus on getting the damned key. Oh. Those are sounds. Streams of crimson spread through the steel-like tangle, gnawing at my arm like a ravenous animal. Where the hell is the key? The thorny stems are twisted and layered so thick I can't see inside at all. As I dig around blindly, I start losing feeling in my arm. It's an endless deluge of pain. Hey, cut it out. You're gonna lose your arm. It will not stop until I have the key. Don't ask me for help. I wasn't even considering it. Collect what remains of my gradually fading sensation and focus it into my fingers, praying even one of them will brush against the key. Damn it. But as much as I search, as much as I dig, I find nothing so much as resembling a key. Which means it must be deeper than I can reach my arm. Even so, I cannot give up. Hey, please be quiet right now. I need to focus. Sorry, I do have the key actually. Can we just pick him up and throw him into the bush? You... what? I'm so sorry. It didn't look like you were willing to help even if I gave it to you, so... well, she told me not to give it to anyone for any reason. Hold still so I can beat you. I didn't mean you any ill will. You most certainly did. I'll give you the key, so please have mercy. Trembling in fear, the boy's shadow sticks out a hand holding a key. The arm I used to dig through the thorns is so bloody and gnashed, I can barely look at it, but it does still function. So I take the key from him with my right hand, as a power move. You know. Why couldn't you use your other hand? That's gross. That's the idea. You're kind of a jerk, you know. Oh my God. I was sympathetic to him during his actual storyline, but like this version of him is so instantly, he might be the character I've hated the like quickest out the gate in any game. Like even Ota took, you know, a full scene to fully hate. Maybe even a few before we saw like, because when you introduce Ota, he's not that bad. It's when you realize, like, the shittiness of him, it's like, oh, he's awful. But, like, ooh. This guy. That's true. I still don't understand how things are going to be connected. Sorry. There you go. Because, like... yeah, this is the cooperative one. We know Morgana is inexorably tied to this mansion. We know this mansion has existed... This mansion was old when we first saw through the first door to the flaxen-haired children. That these guys will get me carded. Oh, okay. So they may have harmed her previously, but then she reincarnated them into the stories we saw to really just, you know. Okay. That would check out. That the versions of them we saw weren't the versions of them that ruined her. They were the versions of them ruined by her as punishment. Yeah, that would check out. Also on second nose. Okay, better. Ugh. But even now, this guy is just kind of an ass. So I have no idea, like, what this guy... who knows? That's a laugh coming from you. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? Yeah, because he's a jerk, but he's kind of just a jerk. Whereas I don't look forward to dealing with the beast and trying to reason something away from them. Don't think that's gonna go super great at all. Yeah. Yeah. Correct. So... I'm gonna just say that this house has just always been, or It's either the house has always existed and Morgana just got tied to it as part of stuff that happened, or the house is straight up just an extension of her. Like, terrible things happened and she was like murdered in this house or something even worse than that, let's be honest, probably happened to her, and like her spirit got tied to this house but also somehow got power, because she definitely does have some amount of power, undeniably. I don't think this would, besides the fact of the writing we've seen so far implicating that I think will be good and we'll get answers, I don't think you get to be in like the top 10 on the VNDB by user rating without having a satisfying conclusion. Like, maybe it's possible, but I'd say it's unlikely. Those are my two assumptions. I know. I'm sorry, really. But hey, you're alive, so no big deal, right? Oh, wait, can you actually say either of us are alive? I don't even know anymore. Do appreciate you giving me the key, though, seeing as it seemed to be rather important to you, too. Hey, is this person you want to get back really worth going through all this for? She is. She's the one person who ever loved me, and she's waiting for me. I see. You know, I had someone that meant a lot to me, too. My sister. Which one? Which? The one with flaxen hair, like me. Also, hey Bernie, how's it going? Welcome to Viperland on the channel. If you happen to see her, do something nice for her, please. That, I would say, is your responsibility. Yeah, you're right. But I'll keep it in mind. Thanks. In the tale I witnessed, the boy pushed his sister away. For an understandable reason, admittedly. But now he seems to bear no grudge for her. Did something else happen between them? Even if it did, I don't have time to ask about it. I'll be on my way. Alright, take care. There are 2 more keys. Watch out, though. They're not the most friendly people. And they'll probably be even more enraged locked up like this. Appreciate the warning. Only someone like you had shown up sooner and taken the keys from us. Goodbye. After bidding me farewell, the boy's phantom dissipates into the shadows of the rose garden. I wonder if he's gone back to mindlessly muttering his regrets. I should get going. Hey, that's 1 key. Gonna give me the choice of where to go next? Yep. Downstairs to the cellar. Ooh. Honestly, while they said to go in order, I get the feeling this might be the hardest of them. Like, I descend the stairs, opening the cellar door. Yes, there are barrels. That's over there. The first time I visited this room, the smell of blood from within was nearly suffocating. Now, the entire house reeks of it, and I've started to go numb to the odor. There's no one here. Am I in the wrong place? I began exploring the cellar, hoping to maybe find the key hidden away or abandoned somewhere. As I reach my hand out to investigate one area, a shadow leaps out of the thick darkness. It's so swift I have no time to react. My body freezes in place. A shadow stands before me, holding the tip of a blade mere inches from my face. A key. You have a key. I do, yes. Cold sweat trickles down my back. My voice is shaking and there's no hiding it. The shade appears to be glaring at me, though I cannot make out its face. After a few seconds, it withdraws its blade. Let me see it. The boy's key. Did he give it to you? In the rose garden, yes. Are you 2 acquaintances? Who could that be, though? You were from completely different era and country. Who are you? No, never mind. Who you are is irrelevant to me. Are you human now? If you are speaking of my nature, then no is the only answer I can give. You didn't kill me, though. If you wanted to, you could easily skewer me where I stand. If that's what you want, I'd be happy to oblige. What did you come here for? For your key. I came to ask you if you would give it to me. You mean to open that door? I need to get to the tower, yes. I see. Take it. Wait, really? Really? The man's shadow tosses the key at my feet. Not quite sure what to think. I didn't expect him to give up so readily. What? Take it. I won't stab you in the back while you're bending over. I thought you were supposed to hold on to this at all costs. I no longer have any reason to guard that key. In the past, I might have severed your head from your shoulders the moment you mentioned it, though. What point in the past? That's a question I wish I knew the answer to. Hey, do you know why I'm here? Where this place is, when it is? Why can't I get out of here? What's happened to me? Tell me. I have no idea what's going on. Not a single goddamned idea. Neither do I. Get out. Take the key and get out of here. Get out! Can't bring myself to say anything to the enraged shadow, so I follow his command, picking up the key, and departing the cellar. Well, okay. I thought I was dead for a second. This makes two, though. What could have happened between these people? The painting mentioned a past with them, and Morgana spoke of the wicked men she cursed. Does that mean they did something awful enough to earn Morgana's spite? Right now, though, I must push onward. If I'm not mistaken... Oh yeah, if you go there first, you won't have a key for him to be curious about, so maybe. If I'm not mistaken, the final key should be in that room. The room with the billiards table? What is billiards anyway? I should get moving. Yeah, correct. Once I have this key, I can get into the observation tower. I'm almost certain Morgana is waiting for me there, with Giselle. So I gather up my resolve and hurry to the last room, not wanting to take even a second longer than necessary getting her back. I can hardly believe my eyes when I step into the den. In the middle of the room is a large rectangular table. Several balls roll across its surface, and perched on one corner, looking down at the floor, is her. Giselle! Giselle! The question of why she's here never crosses my mind. All I feel is elation to see her once more. There's no room for anything else in my head. I run over to her, put my hand on her shoulder. Thank goodness you're all right. And turn her towards me. What? Giselle? Giselle! I shake her, causing her head to droop lifelessly. There's not a trace of light in her unmoving eyes. Why? Giselle, why? Say something, Giselle! Say anything, please! This can't be! You can't be! You can't be! My mind goes blank. I can't catch my breath. The world is hazy. Why is Giselle... Why did I have to find her like this? Why? I swore I would do anything. I swore I would never lose you again. No, this can't be. A thought crosses my dazed, despair-wrought mind. It's probably nothing more than a vain hope, but... Not a drop of blood spilled from my breast. That's right, she doesn't bleed. So this can't be her. This isn't her. Or maybe Morgana has the power to alter Giselle's very nature? Kill her with the flick of a wrist? No, don't even want to think about it. She's definitely fine, yeah. There's no hope to be found down that path. All I can do is pray. Beg for her to still be alive. Or if alive isn't the right word, herself. My prayers bring me back to reality, which is when I realize there's something hard pressed against the back of my head. I hear a harsh metallic clink. What? Ugh. and a piercing bang rips through the air as I drop to the hard floor. My ears are ringing painfully. Through the cloud of smoke and confusion, see a man's silhouette. Missed. It takes several moments for me to recognize the object in his hand as a gun. Not only because it's draped in shadow, but because I've never seen one with my own eyes. Had I not witnessed what they were capable of through the stories, I would not have understood how terrifying they were. Not a problem, though. I'll finish you with the next one. Now, you hold still, boy. Start running around like a rat. I can't guarantee you a painless death. Wait, hold on a second. What are you trying to kill me for? Because you make too much goddamn noise, that's why. Don't tell me. You're the one who... What? Turn my gaze towards the large table. Giselle isn't there. Must have been an illusion after all. The realization sends a wave of relief through me. Still have a gun in my face, though. Curious man you are. Does the table warrant your attention more than me? I have a request. Could you give me the key in your possession? It's all I need, and then I will leave and stop making a racket. Not sure you understand your predicament, boy. Because if you think you're in any position to be asking favors, you're dumber than you look. First off, I don't even know what key you're talking about. I don't believe that. The other two had keys. You telling me they gave you their keys? Sounds like they really do know each other. See for yourself. I believe you should recognize these. Are you collecting them to enter the tower? Are you going to see Morgana? Seems to be a hint of tension in the man's voice. Though I can't see his face, I can sense the waves forming within him. I brace myself for either rejection or hot lead, but the apparition gives me neither. Take me with you. What? You have the other two keys, don't you? Then you can open the door. Bring me to the witch. Wait. Slow down. He just likes keys, yeah. What are you planning to do when you see her? What do you think? She has to... He... has to... He's gone. She has to... What? What was he trying to say? Okay. On the floor where the shade stood is a new key. Curious though I am about its last words. This makes 3. I have all the keys now. Are you trying to rile me up, Morgana? Are you enjoying yourself up there, showing me these phantoms and watching me squirm? Just you wait, I'm on my way. I give the room a brief once-over before making my way back to the chapel. Yes, of course. They were looking out for me in the end, obviously. The key fits perfectly in the openings on the lock and the keys, and when I insert the last one, it clicks open. The chain sealing the door falling to the floor. They're waiting behind this door at the top of the stairs. Again, I keep thinking start is the, open the menu button. It's not, but that's why I keep accidentally quick saving when I want to real save. It's just so counterintuitive. Start, it just is, but it's fine. I still should know by now. I doubt it, but okay. I start pondering what I can even do in a face-off against Morgana, which sends a nervous shudder down my spine. Not going to back down regardless, but she is a witch, and I'm a mere human, formerly human. I'm not a master swordsman, nor do I wield a gun. I have nothing at all with which to fight her. Still have to confront the witch, though, no matter what. As laughably reckless, as foolish as it may be, I have no other option. I place my hand on the door, preparing to climb the tower where I once spent my last breath. Giselle locked safely away in the chamber at the top. The tower where I first met the witch. No hesitation. It's a normal color palette and filter, yeah. The sound of blood streaming down the stairs echoes off the stone walls. Although I have begun growing numb to the house's otherworldly ornamentation, the sight of a seemingly endless river of blood flowing down the spiral staircase sends a chill through me. Every step I climb makes a splat splat noise. When I reach a window, I look out to see a churning reddish-black fog. Now this brings me back. You climbing these stairs alone, just like old times. Morgana, I waited so long for someone like you to show up. Someone with enough despair to resurrect me. Give her back. But now I don't see it in you. I don't feel one bit of that intense hopelessness anymore. Give her back. And here I had thought we were cut from the same cloth. Morgana! Yes, I'll give her back, if you can make it to me without losing yourself. Will not give up. Doesn't matter what you do. Looking up, I can see how far the stairs extend. It's just a gaping blackness, so I have no way of knowing for sure whether I'm getting any closer. Around and around, around and around, around and around. Beneath me, the blood river traces the same path in reverse. I start to wonder if the staircase even does end. If I'm not just eternally retracing my own steps. But I continue climbing regardless. It's all I can do. Put one foot in front of the other and hope I make it to the top. Morgana, what is this place? What did you do to it? What is it? Why, it's the mansion you lived in for a decade, of course. You look at this and tell me it's the same house. Yeah, it's just normal spiral staircase stuff, you know. What's the blood everywhere? Well, you know, sometimes you gotta redecorate. And the three shadows. Now, my dear, no need to raise your voice, and you're being impolite, one question at a time. Answer me. What is this place? That's immaterial. Even if I were to give you an answer you found satisfying, what would that knowledge do for you? Your objective is to reach the top of these stairs and rescue Giselle. Nothing more, nothing less, isn't that right? Or, by chance, have you taken an interest in me? Despite never once asking about myself before. My gut tells me that without knowing what this place is, without even the briefest glimpse at its nature, I won't be able to safely get her back. Without knowing what I'm up against, I don't stand a chance. Please, tell me about this mansion, Morgana. About yourself. What are you, Morgana? A witch? No, that's not what I'm asking. Why do you have the powers you do? What are you? Yes, I get it. Humans feel the need to attach names to things and phenomena they don't understand. I understand that feeling very well, which is why I'm sure you'll be rather disappointed when I reveal the truth. What do you mean? What I mean is, I'm an ordinary human. That's not possible. You expect me to believe a human created this illusion? Then are you saying I'm a magician or a wizard like you might see in a fairy tale? I would believe that, over you being human. Think back then, would you? Recall our time together. Did I ever once use magic? Did I control fire or wind? Did I create illusions? No, I did none of that, because I could not. To you, when you were alive, I suppose you could say, I was naught but simply a ghost. A rather mischievous, but otherwise powerless spirit. And I was nothing more to those three men either. The witch Morgana was never anything but a wretched phantom haunting this old house. But then, I do explain this. Mikhail, my dear, we're not the same beings we once were. We're different than we were in the realm of light, the era of the living. You figured that much out, though, haven't you? That you're already dead. Yes, I know. I know I couldn't possibly be alive. Yet still you view this world through the lens of the living. You make no effort to see it as the land of the dead. Tell me, why would you think that the realm of the living and the dead are the same? Though the worlds behind each of the doors were so vibrant, the mansion itself never had any color. They were the memories of the past, of the land of the living, of times forever lost to us. Our lives have already come to an end, my dear. Every last soul within these walls is dead. This is the world that lies beyond the end. It is my world. This is the afterlife. Why get caught up in the mundanity? None of us has a future, so what reason is there for you to desperately obsess over taking Giselle back? Just like you, she's long since dead. She's a walking corpse. It's nothing I didn't already know, but hearing her say it, it's like a kick to the gut. Dead or alive, she still lives on within this house, and my spirit found its way back too. Why then should I not wish for her to have a future, no matter what form it may take? No matter if my choices erase her from this world entirely. Having seen what lies beyond the door in her heart, what happened in all these hundreds of years, I could never let her remain here with you, trapped in this world bereft of light, drifting aimlessly for all eternity. So determined you feel the need to raise your voice, but you're not going to budge on that point, I see. I ask you this again, Morgana. Please tell me about yourself. How did you become a witch? How did you end up attached to this house? I want to hear your story. You honestly want to know about me? Do now, yes. But not for me, for her, right? Don't be shy now, it's the truth, isn't it? Besides, if you did say it was for me, not her, I might die of laughter. As you wish. You have seen many tales of people's lives since arriving here, and now you shall see mine. Though I ask you this, will you writhe in despair with me? Will you endure maddening agony for me? Will you know pain enough to make you howl? Will you face despair? Again and again and again? As I said before, if that's what you want from me. Let me tell you something though, my dear. It will not be as easy to watch as you imagine. Now that you've reclaimed yourself, you will be able to feel all my pain as if it were your own, to resonate with it. Resonate with it. You no longer have your little guardian with you either. My guardian. He was always protecting me. You'll have a wonderful time, I'm sure. The tale that could only have taken place in the era of miracles and spirituality. Wondrous and weird, senseless and stupid. Hopelessly tragic. Will you watch it with me? As soon as the final word leaves her mouth, I'm engulfed in darkness, not even given a moment to brace myself. Tower stairs crumble beneath me. My feet have nowhere to go. As I'm being battered by the roaring blood river, my consciousness melds with another. Oh, I'm sure I'll be happy. Yeah. Definitely. I carry within me the child of God. That is where it all began. The words of one foolish woman determined the course of my entire life. Before I was even born, my fate was decided. Did her claim come from faith? Was it her way of escaping reality? Did she do it for money or fame? I don't know. I'd been visited by an angel of the Lord. The village where she lived had suffered from years of poor harvest. It had been months since the last rain, and all the villagers prayed desperately to be blessed with succor. I am a child, though I have known no man. So proclaimed the pregnant woman in the midst of the drought. And on the day of my birth, the very moment I let out my first cry, a heavy rain fell down upon the village. The storm quenched the parched earth, nourishing the crops and saving the village. The villagers were astounded, for they had thought the drought would never end. As plump drops of rain poured down upon the village, they gathered around newborn me in exultation. She's the child of God! Perhaps there would be more wonder in claiming I had magical powers. Perhaps it would make a better story if I were to say there were higher forces involved. For all these years later, here's what I truly think. It was nothing more than a fluke. An improbable stroke of luck. An unbelievable fortunate accident for my mother and the village, and an indescribably unfortunate accident for myself. I'm a child, though I've known no man. As if that's even possible. Maybe she had fooled around with a man who had gone and abandoned her, and she spouted these lies to convince herself it had never happened. None of the village men made any claim to be my father. Perhaps he was someone else's husband, and as such he couldn't reveal himself, as adultery is a sin in the eyes of God. The girl they were praising as the child of God was indeed naught more than the ordinary daughter of a wretched woman. At the time, though, I thought differently. I believed my mother's words, convinced I was a saint. It gave me a sense of duty, of purpose, rather than superiority. As the daughter of God, I believed it was my responsibility to help anyone in need. So every day I prayed. I asked my father what I could do, what I was meant to do. Not everyone is equally good, however. There will always be someone who lends their ear to the devil's whispers. One man claimed I was the daughter of a charlatan. He shouted for all to hear, "If you really are the child of God, then perform a miracle for us." Could he have been any more unreasonable? Miracles are neither magic nor parlor tricks. They are realized through the power of faith. A lowly villager is in no place demanding God prove his own divinity. It is the height of arrogance. But the man refused to heed my words. So, having no other choice, I contemplated what I could do to show him I was indeed a saint. And blood was the spark of my inspiration. Mikhail, the time when I lived and the time when you lived were not so different. Our views and beliefs about the world are very much the same, so you should understand that in our time, blood was seen as unclean. It was a dreadful thing, ridden with disease, which is why we drained the blood from animals and purified the flesh before consuming it. But being a saint, my blood would have been different. Like the blood of the saints who came before me, mine would be blessed. So cheese and burgers just made for each other? Agreed. I usually prefer a slice of cheddar, but a good, Swiss on a burger, you ain't gonna hear a word of complaint from me. At all. At all. Not even a little. That's what I get from this. Fair. But I believed it would be able to cleanse people's impurities. In my demonstration, I chose an elderly woman afflicted with a terrible disease. She was on her deathbed, and no one thought she would live for longer than another day or two. The woman was overjoyed when I came to visit her. Sincerely believing me to be a holy servant of the Lord, she gathered all the strength she could muster to climb from her bed and kiss my feet. Yes, I am a huge fan of a good black and blue burger. 100%. Absolutely. Yes. I would say, while I definitely have different tastes depending on what day, I feel like a good black and blue burger is probably my all-time favorite. But there are some days I'm feeling like, oh no, I kind of want cheddar, or I want a barbecue burger, or sometimes different stuff. But overall, a well-done black and blue burger, yeah. I felt an intensely deep love for this woman. Placing my hands upon her cheeks, I said with all the kindness in my heart, "My beloved sister, partake of my blood." The woman agreed without a glimpse of hesitation, and so I pricked the tip of my finger with a knife and let the blood drip into her mouth. Within 3 days, her health had improved enough for her to get out of the bed unassisted. Seeing that, no one in the village doubted my prowess any longer. In fact, the man who had accused me of being the daughter of a charlatan was subsequently punished for his sins. He received much deserved retribution for challenging the daughter of God, for mocking her. But of course, being a saint, I forgave the man. He in turn repented and changed his ways, worshipping me as the true child of God. Now, I'll be honest with you, I was ecstatic. Utterly elated. I felt like I was on top of the world and I reveled in it. The villagers showered me with adulation. Adulation. They revered me, the daughter of God. Anyone who didn't was punished. And on top of that, my blood could cause miracles. Tell me, do you look down on me for feeling the way I did? The actual child of God would never let herself be consumed by such base emotions, would she? But if you would give me a chance, I would like to explain myself. I was but a young girl at the time, and to a child, her mother is the world. Anything she says is the absolute truth. So when my mother's claims so happened to coincide with a lucky miracle, my young mind was set in stone. I was a saint. Excuse me. My blood could heal the sick, and nothing would convince me otherwise. After all, I was but a girl of 6 years old. It is not my place to decide whether my blood truly had miraculous powers or not. If you think it did, then it did, and if you think it was all happenstance, then so it was. Miracles are brought about by faith. So the elderly woman who was healed was done so by the power of her own belief. Baseless hope and desire can at times make the otherwise impossible a reality. You understand just how major a role religion played in our time, don't you, Mikhail? Especially as someone whose life was taken from him in the name of God. And do you understand how powerful word of mouth can be as well, don't you? It didn't take long for word of the miracle-performing child of God to spread. Travelers from faraway lands came to our village, all in search of aid. Driven by a mixture of elation and duty, I gave my blessings unto every pilgrim who sought them. Go, you gonna run out of blood? I gave them my blood, yes. My young hands were perpetually covered in wounds. Running out of skin on my fingers, I cut the back of my hands, my palms, my wrists. Before long, they had turned into swollen, carved-up black and red horrors, and so I kept them wrapped in cloth at all times. The only time I uncovered them was to give blood to those who sought it. My lacerated hands were, in no uncertain terms, gruesome and unsightly, but the believers who came to see me all wept at my selfless sacrifice, and so I came to cherish those wounds. There were some for whom no miracle took place, but whenever that would happen, the villagers would come out and say, "The daughter of God is not to blame. You simply lack sufficient faith." Thus, such incidents had no negative effect on my reputation as a saint. For 3 years, I continued doling out blessings. One day, while I was offering a prayer, my mother let slip her discontent. Why must you hand out miracles for nothing? Why must you give strangers grace? We should be getting compensated. We deserve remuneration. Sure. If we charge just a little bit for each blessing, we could be living so much more comfortably. I was dumbfounded. How could the mother of a saint say such things? Helping people was my divine calling, and she expected payment? I nearly wept hearing my mother preoccupied with such worldly desires. So I explained to her how important this work was. I taught her that we were not to covet material wealth, that we were to dedicate our lives to the service of our fellow men. Yep, that would be it. Exactly. That's what I said, eventually. "You're right, my dear saint," she said, understanding, and I believed her. I fell asleep that night convinced she truly understood and that there would be no more problems. Yeah, for sure. There's definitely when you're poor village people, and you're already somebody who's living their life based off of lying to others, pretty sure you're not going to go, "Yes, my 9-year-old daughter has convinced me that we should not swindle strangers that would gladly give us money. You're right, the child is right." But the next day, I was sold off. Men I had never seen before carried me by the arms and tossed me into a carriage. Confused and panicked, I stuck my head out, searching for my mother. Off in the shadow of the house, I saw her with a strange man, accepting a bag of coins. The carriage rocked back and forth as it rolled along a dirt road. Shaking and bouncing within it, I struggled with overwhelming grief and despair. It was perhaps the first time in my life I had felt such a powerful emotion. I didn't know what I felt so much despair over, though. Obviously, it was over my present predicament, but I wasn't sure what about it hurt the most. Was it that I'd been pawned off like a slave? Was it that my mother, the mother of a saint, had been blinded by money? Was it that the villagers had watched in silence as a disciple of the Lord was thrown into a carriage? Or was it that I, daughter of God, lamented my misfortune like a mortal? I decided it was a trial. My father, the Lord God, was testing my worthiness of being his daughter. So I choked back my urge to cry and sat there in silent contemplation. For almost 3 weeks, I was rocked around in the carriage. The coachman treated me well enough, but I'm certain it was only because he didn't want his precious cargo dying before he could deliver it. He did not by any means think me the child of God. The 3rd week, the carriage arrived at a city. It was much larger than the village I had grown up in, with many, many more people crowding the streets. Power of luck, sell miracles to the orphanage. Ugh. Not cool. Something about them felt different too. They all spoke in a tongue foreign to me, which is when I realized I was far, far away from home. Really, a 3-day carriage ride might lead you far. I was delivered to the lavishly decorated mansion of the region's lord. Brightly colored flowers bloomed wildly in the garden as guests laughed and ate extravagant meals. And in addition to them, there were probably 4 times as many slaves moving about the grounds. getting a range of looks from everyone we passed. From smartly dressed men to scrawny, emaciated servants, I was led to the Lord's chambers. The Lord was surrounded by beautiful women. Perhaps they were slaves, or perhaps they were prostitutes, but I couldn't tell. Among them were some girls hardly older than me. They all wore thin swaths of cloth, barely covering themselves at all. The Lord looked me up and down, and with a laugh he said, "Welcome, daughter of God. You'll be performing miracles for me now." "Miracles are not something to be performed for one single person's benefit," I replied, shocked and furious he had just said something so utterly blasphemous. In response he said, "I bought you. You are my property. You have no right to an opinion." But I would not have any of it. I entreated him to give up his indulgent lifestyle and devote himself to the service of the Lord. But the more I pleaded, the deeper the creases in his face grew. Thinking back on it now, it was hardly surprising. A 9-year-old girl was scolding the most powerful man in the region. I believed it was my duty and that I was only doing what was right, but he surely saw it as incredible arrogance. So the Lord forced his will upon me. He bound my hands and feet and cut me without my permission, filling a goblet with my blood and passing it around to his guests. A saint's blood and good fortune to all. I feel like I've heard that before, so... That was when I realized the Lord was only interested in the approval of others. And apparently, naked ladies. He reveled in their envy as he pranced about showing off his curious new toy, me. He didn't need my miracles. Neither he nor any of his guests were afflicted with disease or misfortune. They were all richly blessed. Every time he threw a banquet, he drained me of my blood. It became nearly impossible to find a spot on either of my arms that wasn't a swollen reddish-black gash. And soon, because my arms weren't providing enough blood for him, the cutting spread to my legs. I lived in a haze of half-consciousness. Honestly, I'm amazed it didn't kill me, though perhaps the Lord was simply taking care to not take more than my body could spare. Watching the wealthy partygoers laugh and sip my blood through bleary eyes, another wave of despair came over me. Miracles, my blood, were not meant to be an appetizer at a feast. They were meant for the sick and the poor. But despite my wishes, the Lord persisted to squeeze me dry day in and day out for his own enjoyment. For a while, I was convinced it was all God's test, that it was part of his plan for me, his daughter, that if I could make it through the trial, I would be allowed to go back to helping people. That man would celebrate my success, envy me, worship me, that sinners would face punishment, that divine retribution would be delivered unto all who had wronged me, a saint. With each passing day, my spirit grew more twisted. Would anyone have believed that scarred and bloodied girl tied up on the floor in the banquet hall was a saint? Unlikely. There was no charitable gathering, but an unholy Sabbath. Perhaps it was caused by my corrupted spirit. Perhaps it was my heart's way of crying for help. Or perhaps it was the devil giving me my witch's mark. But no matter what the cause, during one of the bloody banquets, I underwent a transformation. I was half-conscious, as usual, when one of the guests pointed at me and shouted something. His face went pale as if he were afraid, which I found quite curious. The Lord then approached me, grabbed me by the hair, and lifted my head. He yelled something, but I was too far gone to be able to make out what he was saying. Suddenly, I found myself released from my bonds, but my body had grown so weak from being tied up for so long, I didn't have the strength to hold myself up, and so I collapsed onto the floor. I was still trying to figure out what was happening when the Lord drew a sword, raised it high above his head. His words in that moment reached me with perfect clarity. "You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin." A witch? Why was he calling me a witch? I was the holy daughter of God. I had certainly never made a pact with the devil. What could have given him that idea? What was in store for me now? Had God performed some kind of miracle for him? Dozens of thoughts and questions floated through my mind as death hung over me. I couldn't comprehend anything, so I didn't feel any fear or anger at my impending death. I was simply curious. What had happened to me? But before I had a chance to find that answer, the Lord swung down his blade. Okay. I mean, that can't be all. Without warning, without any time to prepare, the darkness drains away. And a second later, I crash into the stairs, hard. Right at my ear, I can hear the hiss of the river of blood. The world fades in and out of view, giving way to very real images of past I never lived. I practically feel the fire in the eyes of that mad blood banquet's guest. My vision distorts. I can't regain my focus. Whose blood is this streaming down the stairs? Is it hers? Is it mine? Who am I? A saint? A witch? Is what I'm seeing through a lens of clarity or madness? Wait, no. Not her. I am Mikhail, no one else. It hurts, doesn't it? It's hard to breathe. Your chest is on fire. Your vision is blurry. It's dark. It's lonely. It's scary. It's frustrating. It's disheartening. It's exasperating, isn't it? What you're feeling is exactly the pain I felt. I reach my hand out in a plea for help, which is when I see something I can hardly believe. Both of my arms are covered in gashes, blood flowing from them without end. The raw flesh beneath my skin has been exposed to the open air. All I can bring myself to do is to scream. That pain, her horrible past, is doing everything in its power to break me. That 9-year-old girl's sickening experiences are twisting and constricting and crushing me. But why is this happening to you? Are you really that slow, my dear? You're empathizing with my pain. You're just that kind-hearted, Mikhail. You said you wouldn't give up, didn't you? That you would make your way to me. Then surely this won't be enough to do you in. Of course it won't. Excuse me. Mustering up every little last bit of strength I can, I began crawling up the stairs. The red river beats against my open wounds, stinging painfully. The simple act of lifting an arm or a leg is almost unbearably agonizing. The blood dripping from my lacerated arms mixes with the blood already soaking the tower. So this is the pain Morgana suffered. Do you despise everyone, Morgana? Did your resentment at your mother's betrayal, at the people who came seeking your blood, at the lord who took your life, turn into a hatred for all mankind? Your perception of me is still incorrect, Mikhail. My grudge is only against a select few. Think about it, my dear. Of the thousands, millions, billions of people living on this planet, my world is comprised of but a minuscule fraction of that. Hatred for all mankind? No, what I feel is not nearly so nebulous. Although, if I had died still believing I was a saint, maybe wouldn't have such a well-defined mission. You saying the Lord didn't kill you? Oh my, did you actually think that was the end of my tale? Despite all your big talk, you're afraid of having to suffer through any more of that, aren't you? But you're the one who said you wouldn't give in. So go on. Know my pain, without losing your mind. Once again, my surroundings crumble. I have no say. I have no chance to object before I'm dragged back to that repulsive banquet. I reach out, stretching my hand as far as it will reach, but all I can grab is darkness. My bloody body sinks into the abyss. The pain becomes more than just a memory, eroding away at my consciousness. You're a damned witch wearing a saint's skin. Maybe if I had died then, I wouldn't have become the witch you know now. But that's all conjecture. Theorizing about what could have happened is an exercise in futility. But no, I did not die that day. Brought together by constant mistreatment, the Lord's slaves chose that moment to start their revolt. When he swung down his blade, someone bumped into him, and it was knocked off its course. I didn't have the strength to get to my feet, so I simply watched the chaos unfold before my hazy eyes. It never even occurred to me that I should try to escape. At some point during the riot, a young man, one of the slaves, grabbed me by my bloody, limp arm and led me out of the Lord's manor. The young man brought me to a slum, a place where the people banded together in their hardships, barely scraping together enough to eat every day, let alone pay the taxes demanded of them. By the time we had arrived at a small brothel located a ways into the slum, the fog was starting to clear from my mind. I knew where we were, and feeling the gazes of those scantily clothed women, I trembled. In a sense, that was possibly the most frightened I had ever been in my life, despite everything else I had been through. The idea that I had fallen so far I would have to become a prostitute scared me to death. After all, I was a saint, and saints were supposed to retain their purity. Spreading my legs for any man who gave me enough coins would shatter my very identity. As all that was going through my mind, I probably shouted no in protest, because the slave gave me an exasperated look and told me he hadn't brought me here to become a prostitute. He said he knew someone here, someone I could trust, and that she would give me a room. I had trouble believing him, though. I couldn't trust the word of a prostitute, someone who valued money more than her own body. It was a trap, I was sure. One day they would tell me I had to work. Nothing he said would convince me otherwise. Apparently sensing my mistrust, the slave gave me an apologetic frown and handed me a mirror saying, even if I did, you couldn't get any work looking like that. I could not believe what I saw. That couldn't be my face. It had to be an illusion. There was no way. That was not the face of a saint. It couldn't be. It wasn't real. It wasn't possible. Patches of skin had fallen off my face, exposing the raw red flesh beneath. It looked quite similar to what had been done to my arms and legs, except my face had never been cut before. Looking at myself in the mirror, even I doubted my own sainthood. The thing in my reflection was a hellish abomination. It was the twisted face of a witch. And although I was shocked by what I saw, at the same time it answered several lingering questions. It explained why the Lord and his guest had panicked at the sight of me. It also explained why he had said I was a witch wearing a saint's skin. Over the course of the dozens of banquets I had participated in, my face must have mutated, twisted into this ugly, sickening, monstrous thing. The sight of what I had become sapped the last bit of willpower from me. Not because I was particularly fond of my face or thought myself especially beautiful, but because it crushed me to see everything saintly about me crumble away. Test from God or otherwise, I didn't have the strength left to attempt to overcome it. Deciding I would rather be dead than struggle any longer, I begged the slave to kill me. Taking one's own life was a sin. If I did that, I would not be able to return to my father's side, and I wanted to ask him why I had been through such tribulation. The young man refused. He said, completely missing my intention, that if I persisted, good fortune would eventually find me. He said that if I lived on, I would eventually have a chance to get my payback. I feel like good fortune and payback are different reasonings to live, but you know. I had no such worldly concerns, though, but if one would take my life, I had no choice but to live. I despised life at the brothel. The men who came to buy their services were disgusting buffoons. Let's see, clearly, we need the good fortune to stumble into good revenge. The kind of people who would think they could deceive God, and the woman fawning over them were just as repulsive. That said, I had nowhere else to go, which meant I was forced to suffer this sickening place. But by the time a year or so had passed, my feelings about it had changed. The woman of the brothel took good care of me, treating me like a sister. At first it was just irritating. I was a saint. How could a saint have prostitutes for sisters? But over time, I got to know them better, grew to appreciate their circumstances and hardships. Despite barely having enough money to keep food on the table, whenever they had a little to spare, they would use it to purchase medicine. Ointments to apply to my arms, legs, and face, and as a result of their generosity, my arms and legs started looking almost human, but nothing had any effect on my face. Occasionally, the slave would drop by in to check on me. The other men thought me ghastly and wouldn't get anywhere near me, but he was different, and every time he visited, he would say, "One day, I'll show you the world." And to tell you the truth, I was beginning to grow attached to it all. My time at the brothel was probably, all things considered, one of the brighter chapters of my life. There was neither saint nor witch, but an ordinary human girl. For the first time, I felt like my life had meaning beyond my assumed divine purpose. I was even beginning to feel kind of happy. And with each passing day, my intraceable worldview was gaining a little flexibility. Perhaps I could perform miracles, but that didn't necessarily mean I had to be the daughter of God or a saint. Maybe I was just a regular person who happened to possess some unusual abilities. Ridiculous, isn't it? Despite coming to accept my humanity, I refused to let go of my miraculous powers. They were the last thing protecting what I thought of as myself. But to me at the time, it felt like a very dramatic change of heart. 3 years after the revolt at the Lord's Manor, I had my 12th birthday, for which they threw me a little dinner party. The women all pitched in to bake me treats, and the young slave man was there too. I was happy. I thought that if life could continue on like this, I was fine with not going back to being a saint. But for some reason, happiness always seems to slip away as soon as you've got your hands around it. No one sincerely wants to lose it, so why must they? I certainly didn't mind not being miserable. Let me tell you of what happened that night. On the night of my birthday celebration, bandits attacked the brothel. Now, bandits were hardly a rarity in that time, so everyone was always on the lookout and we never went out at night. They wouldn't stop at robbing you either. They were armed with blades and would frequently kill their targets if necessary. But cautious as we were helpless against a direct raid. The brothel fell into a panic, screams echoing in the night. The customers were carved up and left for dead. The women were bound and stowed away to be sold. My peaceful world shattered in an instant. And the next thing I knew, I was some slave trader's merchandise. I don't know what became of the prostitutes who cared for me or the slave who brought me to them. I assumed the woman was sold and the young man slaughtered. But regardless, I found myself being rocked around in the back of a carriage once more. The carriage was packed so tight you could barely see the floor, and it smelled like death. Sweat, urine, feces, every foul odor imaginable compressed into a tiny space. There were both men and women there, nearly all of them muttering or groaning or weeping. Everyone was young, ripe to be put to work. It didn't take me long to realize what fate awaited these people, and me. And when I did, I just sat there in silence. Then, for the first time, I cried. I was experiencing, I believe, a very human emotion. I was sad. Hurt that I had been taken away from a place where I was happy, from the woman at the brothel and that young man. It crushed me. And no longer did I wonder why such a thing was happening to the holy daughter of God. Something about my tears must have seemed strange to him, because one man saw me and said, "Why are you crying?" He was a curious man. To start, he looked very different from anyone else. The color of his skin, the length of his nose, the shape of his eyes, everything about him was new and unusual. Hesitantly, I replied, "Sad because I didn't get the chance to show my gratitude to people very dear to me." The man fell silent, looking as though he was deep in thought. I had no idea why he had asked me that, but something about him made me uncomfortable, so I couldn't bring myself to ask. Several hours later, why does my phone keep blowing up? The man suddenly stood up. The guards had no patience for anyone stepping out of line, and they didn't look like they would hesitate to kill us either. So, unsurprisingly, one at the back of the carriage drew his sword and pointed it at the man. What was surprising, though, was what happened next. The man, his hands shackled like the rest of us, leapt for the guard, slamming his fist into his face and stealing his sword. The entire carriage was in shock. The guards were too stunned to effectively react, so they were quickly cut down. Because the one-man uprising had taken place between cities, there was no one the slave traders could ask for help before they were slaughtered. In the blink of an eye, it was all over. There was nothing human about what I had witnessed. If I had to describe it, I would say it was as though a wild beast had attacked. The man ruffled through the slave trader's clothes until he found the keys, which he brought to me, ordering I unshackle him. And so I did as he commanded. Once they had enough time to process what had happened, the would-be slaves applauded. Their wretched souls had been saved. And for a moment, I believed so too. When the man's hands were free, he rolled his shoulders a couple times, made sure everything was in place, and then he began his massacre. Screams of agony filled the carriage as he ran his sword through the helpless men and women packed inside it. Blood and guts were splattered against every surface, and those who tried to escape did not get far before being mercilessly skewered. It was like a scene out of a nightmare. I was frozen in place, not out of fear, but because my mind had shut down. I couldn't make sense of what was happening, so my mind rejected it. and with my brain having given up, my body was no more than a lifeless puppet. Yeah, seems likely enough. I would argue Mel definitely doesn't deserve this. Well, assuming the slave boy is Mel, he definitely doesn't deserve it unless they come back into the story, because all they did is help them. By her own admittance, the choices that Mel, the slave boy, made were the things that led her to her happiest period of her life. To be fair, Mel could be a reincarnation of the Lord. Like, yes, he was a child at the point that we witnessed him, but he could absolutely have grown up to be somebody very wealth-focused, you know, the envy of everyone. But I don't know. It doesn't necessarily trace with the Mel that we encountered. So I don't know. It also may not go in... Well, they did say in order. The painting person did say in order, so it does lead to believe that it would be somebody literally first, second, and then third. So, I don't know. I feel like neither feels like a great fit, though. Like, the slave boy doesn't, to me, feel like they deserve eternal punishment from the person who admitted that, yeah, them not killing me and bringing me there was actually the best thing in my life for that brief 3 years. But it also doesn't feel right to be like, yeah, that kid was actually that, like, lord who bled me every day. So, I don't know. Neither seems to fit exactly. No sister. Fair. But that could just be part of the reincarnation. Maybe that's... The shadow had a sister. True. Not sure, then. And with my brain having given up, my body was no more than a lifeless puppet. In short order, all the slaves were dead, and I was sitting in a pool of blood staring at the man. He pointed his blade at me, and with a little smirk said, "Why didn't you run?" In turn I asked him, "Why did you kill them?" The smile vanished from his face, and after a few quiet moments of pondering, he replied, "Because I felt like it." "Why haven't you killed me yet?" I asked. To which he gave a curt, "I don't know," then withdrew his blade and wandered off into the distance. Then I was all alone, surrounded by corpses. Yep, I felt like it. Why didn't you kill me? I glanced down, and half of someone's face was looking back up at me. Yeah, pretty sure that would scar me for the entire rest of my everything. Even if you ignore the rest of the massacre she just witnessed, I'm pretty sure that alone would scar me for eternity. I don't know if there's enough therapy out there to get over looking down in your lap and having half of a severed face staring back at you. Yeah. It's true, her face is messed up. I have to assume that's just some sort of result of... Like, she must have gotten infected by countless cuts. Mind you, I don't really know if just losing, like, draining the blood occasionally out of your limbs can lead to what she described, but, like, this was not an era of medicine and sanitary things. Like, I'm pretty sure those arms and legs got infected. It's kind of crazy she's not dead from the infections, but that's my only guess as to why the face is messed up, is like something must have gotten into her system and spread to there, but I don't know. Well, they didn't cut her. They had only been cutting her arms and legs, and then one day they looked over and was like, "Oh, her face is falling off. She's a witch who was wearing the skin of a saint." They tried to kill her, but they didn't carve anything off of her. They only cut her. Still not awesome, you know, but like, yeah, it was described as a sudden transformation, and it wasn't, from what we could tell, caused by an outside force. Again, that's just the info we've been given, though, so who knows. Wrapped in absolute darkness, Warm blood spills out onto my cheeks, my hair, my skin. Chunks of human flesh rain down on me. Ugh, make it stop. Pitter-patter, pitter-patter. There's no end to the deluge. The smell of death fills the air. I can't believe that in all of the RPGs that I've played that have water spells of varying power, only Chrono Cross has had a powerful water spell called Deluge. Why the hell isn't that more common? It's a great word. It's a great name that gives, like, you see Tsunami as, like, Leviathan's ultimate, but, like, come on. It's not the only powerful water word out there. Diversify yourselves, JRPGs. Something like shingles or something. Yeah. I mean, it could easily just be stress, too, but, like, that combination of she's definitely had enough nastiness enter her veins, and also infinite stress, just the stressiest of stress. That combination can't be good. Ugh. Struck with a wave of nausea, so strong I can't hold back the contents of my stomach. But when my mouth opens to vomit, blood pours into it. Oh, hello, hands. Ugh. Let go of me. Dead bodies grab at my ankles, dragging me down. To where? Hell, or to the mountain of corpses? Whose hands are those hands? Dead corpses' hands, yeah. Well, I think the transition and her not seeing herself as a saint anymore are... I think the transition caused her not seeing herself as a saint anymore, not the other way around. Because she was fine until they... Oh, that's true. She had mentioned that she had functionally, like, given up. She's like, if this is a test, nope. It's too much. So, yeah. It could be... I mean, it could just be a side effect of all of the stuff in the system and her just mentally giving up. Yeah, Yeah, it would absolutely snowball if that was, if any part of the cause. Now do you understand that there was a time, if but briefly, when I was happy, when I felt human emotions? But I wish I never had. If I had remained confined to my Daughter of God shell, then I doubt I would have felt so much terror at the sight of death. Oh, so that was happiness for her, but she blames that happiness for making her feel human, thus making everything that came after actually impact her the way it would a human, as opposed to somebody who's just like, I'm better than them. So Mel's sin was literally showing her happiness so that she could see how terrible everything else was. Man, he didn't deserve that. I can't say anything in response. I can't form words. I feel what she has experienced, the massacre she witnessed, the limp flesh piling up around her. Even more than twice her age, it's enough to drive me mad. The fact that a 12-year-old girl had to experience something so unspeakable devastates me. Tell me, my dear, do you pity me? Do you sympathize with me? If you feel bad for me, then you'll remain with me. You'll feel my pain and my despair with me, won't you? The witch's cackle echoes through the pile of bodies. There's not a speck of light, and hideous death lingers everywhere. Helpless to resist, I'm dragged down into a deep, dark ocean, an ocean of blood. She's had a happy... Now, on with the story. I was at a complete loss for some time after that. I didn't want to return to the city because I knew there was no one left who would take me in. There was only the Lord who had bound me and drained me of my blood. So I wandered the roads, no destination in mind and nothing to defend myself but the clothes on my back. Frankly, I'm rather surprised I wasn't attacked by bandits. After walking for days without food or water, my mind was hazy and my exhaustion at a peak. In the distance I saw a lake, a sand lake. So driven by my thirst, I turned my unsteady feet towards the water, not caring that it took me off the main road. And it turned out that was the correct choice, because there was a small cottage beside the lake, smoke rising from the chimney telling me it wasn't abandoned. Out of sheer desperation, I knocked on the door. No one answered. The door wasn't locked, so I slowly, hesitantly pushed it open. And beyond it, I found an old woman sitting dead in a chair. The woman was a witch. A trade, that is. It appeared she had a deep knowledge of medicinal herbs, using it to make an assortment of medicines. In her cabinets were dozens of small glass bottles containing dried powdered leaves and crushed berries, among other things. On the fire was a cauldron, liquid bubbling inside. Do you want to have it done? Kind of get the feeling. What are the voices would we hear at this point, considering what we heard in those scenes was presumably Morgana, and now we're literally living her life, but why not check it? The woman looked as though she was asleep. Presumably she had passed away of old age, for there was no sign bandits had been rooting through the cottage, and she had a look of absolute serenity on her face. Looking over at the woman's dead body, I didn't cross myself. I envied her. Dragging the woman's body by her feet, I dumped her into the lake. Do you think doing so makes me a bad person? Makes me unsaintly? Well, I didn't have anywhere else to go, and the owner of the cozy cottage was no longer of this world. There was no reason I couldn't fill the home in her stead, was there? I deserved to have somewhere I felt comfortable, after everything I'd been through, didn't I? And so I took up residence in the old witch's cottage, and remained there until my 16th year. Man, bad stuff happens to her in threes. 9, 12, 16. By 16, a terrible cynicism had taken root in my heart. I had no trust for people. I shut them out, building high walls around myself. After such a tumultuous, bloody childhood, it was all I could do to protect myself, to keep my young spirit from cracking. Nevertheless, travelers would, on occasion, pay the old witch's cottage a visit, seeking her medicines. It's not a 3? Oh, whatever. Well, you don't know... I was gonna say, it could theoretically still be... No, yeah. Leap year. Yes. Yeah, no. I got nothing. Nevertheless, travelers would on occasion pay the old witch's cottage a visit, seeking her medicines. Do you think my brain is focused on math right now? I would cautiously crack the door open, telling them they could trade for whatever they wanted with food, and never showing my face. One day, a young man showed up at the cottage. My sister has fallen very ill, and she desperately needs medicine. A sister, you say? Oh. If the actual order is different than the order we went in, I wonder if something different happens if we go back to that point and go through the order we see here. I'm not doing that right now, I'm just saving because I'm thinking of things. But... huh. Again, we're seeing things through, but I'm just thinking of... what if? He was very soft-spoken. There was a distinct kindness in his voice, which I thought unusual, curious. What kind of person could he be? What did he look like? What expressions did he make as he spoke? To satisfy that curiosity, I snuck a peek at him through the crack in the door. He was a handsome young man with flowing flaxen hair, and upon seeing me, he didn't flinch back in disgust. He smiled. According to him, his younger sister had fallen gravely ill, and though they had tried a number of remedies, she was still bedridden. The medicines I gave him, too, had no effect, but he persisted in his quest, visiting me again and again for new combinations to try. He wanted nothing more than to relieve even the slightest bit of his sister's suffering. And, moved by his dedication to his family, I too wanted to do anything I could to help. For the first time in years, my world encompassed more than my small cottage. When the young man came, he would ask not only for medicine, but to go on walks with me. He volunteered to spend time with me, despite my horrifying appearance. It's not healthy to stay holed up inside all the time. We've got this beautiful lake right here. What do you say we take a little walk around the shoreline? He said with a smile, taking me by the hand. He spoke as we circled the lakeside. His voice was always soft and pleasant, like a ray of light shining through a crack in the walls. When I was with him, I felt like I could be an actual person, an ordinary girl. He talked about his sister more than anything, and whenever he did, he was at his brightest and most melancholy. The young man had been a member of a noble house, but disputes over who was the rightful heir had forced him and his sister out. Shortly after that, his sister had fallen ill and was now bedridden. I'll take anything at this point to make her better. I'll even take a miracle if I can get one. That word, muttered beneath his breath, sparked my memory. I was a saint. My blood had healing properties. I had no reason to hesitate. Someone needed my help, and who deserved it more than his kind-hearted young man's sister. So I decided to tell him what I really was, that my blood had miraculous powers, that it had saved people, that the moment I had been born, the drought plaguing my village had come to an end, that I had been known as a saint, the daughter of God. I told him everything, and he believed it all. He led me to his house where a pale, sickly young girl lay in bed. She was a sweet little girl with the same flaxen hair as her brother, who looked like she would have been quite spirited if not for her ailment. It was touching to see the two siblings sitting there together, quietly holding each other. I would gladly give my blood for the two of them, and so I made a new cut in my arm, which had healed considerably thanks to the salve and the slave and the woman of the brothel, and let the girl drink of my blood. Neither of them had any doubts about my sainthood, and because they believed, a miracle occurred. The flaxen-haired girl recovered enough to get out of her bed. I was extremely proud of myself. I felt like, for once, I had actually saved someone's life. The only issue was, she didn't make a complete recovery. For a few days after drinking my blood, she was in good health, but her condition quickly regressed. I was deeply perplexed by this. A miracle had undoubtedly taken place, but it was only temporary. Now, though, I believe I can explain what happened. Her recovery was nothing more than a placebo effect caused by her faith. But that's something I couldn't have known at the time. We were all three perplexed, and we were all three disheartened. Nevertheless, I was prepared to give her my blood as many times as needed. Whenever her condition worsened, the young man came to request more, and never once did I turn him away. On the contrary, I enthusiastically offered her my services. Over time, though, the hope in his eyes began to fade. He asked me on fewer walks, and he seemed hesitant to look me in the eye. I assume it was out of discomfort or guilt, out of shame of asking for blood, but I don't think his concerns were for me, rather himself and his sister. As I mentioned earlier, blood was considered unclean in our time, and not only was I giving mine away, I was having his sister imbibe it. Looking at it that way, it would hardly be a surprise for him or anyone else to think what I was doing depraved. As time passed, the flaxen-haired young man seemed to grow more and more disturbed by me. That was what I got for opening up. That was what I got for letting his kind, warm light shine on me. The moment things went bad, he pulled away. There were times when I thought I shouldn't have done anything in the first place, but regardless, I held fast to my original decision. I would put myself on the line for them. No one else, just them. Even if he was afraid of me or had no interest in seeing me, I would continue offering her my blood. And I was firm in my resolve. One day, though, I received a new visitor. The young man was still the only one who I would show my face to, the only guest I had let in my walls. So as usual, I took the man's request from behind the cottage door, but I could hardly believe my ears when he began speaking. Are you the witch with the miracle blood? First, how did he know my blood had powers? Second, why had he called me a witch and not a saint? Third, why did he sound like the man who had slaughtered the slave carriage? I told the man he had to leave, that I would not be opening the door for any reason. In response, he said, I am in need of your blood. Could you not spare a little? My blood was for the sick and needy. I would never spare a drop for a murderer like him. And I told the man exactly that, demanding he leave. All I could think about was the pile of bodies, the fountain of blood. The man drenched in crimson, wearing a ghastly smirk. I trembled behind the door, fearing he may go on another such rampage. But instead, he gave a simple, as you say, and he went on his way. I let out a deep sigh of relief, which is when I realized tears were rolling down both of my cheeks. Excuse me. Like an ordinary girl. 3 days later, the flaxen-haired boy showed up at my cottage. I'm sorry for being so distant lately. I want to talk things over. Those two sentences were like a light shining from above. I wanted to talk to him too. I wanted to take a walk around the lake and listen to him talk about nothing. I wanted to experience the warmth of his world once more. And I wanted to tell him about the terrible man who had been there a few days earlier, about how scared I had been. I wanted him to tell me it would be all right. I want to talk to you too, I said, opening the door without a second thought. The light of the sun was so bright, all I could make out was his silhouette. I couldn't see the look in his face or the look in his eyes. A gentle breeze blew past. My mind froze. How could this be happening? What did it mean? Why? How? What was that man doing, standing behind him? Why was he carrying a sword? Why was he coming into my house? And why did he swing it down, severing my arm? I was in a daze. I couldn't make sense of anything. I didn't want to. My left arm fell to the floor before I even knew it was happening. Then my legs gave out. The pain, searing and unbearable, came a few moments later as I was laying in an ever-expanding pool of my own blood. I did something then that I hadn't done before, that I had resisted doing no matter how much blood the Lord had stolen from me. I screamed. It was a hideous, visceral noise, a sound I had never thought a saint could make. The same ear-splitting howl the slaves had made as the man had butchered them. I writhed, I wailed, I wept, I crawled across the floor through my own blood. I begged and I begged and I begged for my life. The man walked over, picked up my severed arm, and then, shockingly, he tossed it to the kind-hearted young man. After which he said, "That's your share. Should last you long enough." Share? What do you mean by share? What was he talking about? Why had he given him my arm, and why had he taken it? Why was he talking like they knew each other? Why? I had spared blood for him when he asked, hadn't I? So why was he doing this? Was cutting my arm off and stealing it easier on his conscience than simply asking? You understand how I felt, don't you? You can put yourself in my shoes, can't you? The young man refused to look me in the eye. Holding my bloody arm in his trembling hands, he fled from the cottage as quickly as his legs would allow. The man then walked over and picked me up. I had neither the strength nor willpower to resist. Holding me in his arms, he began to speak, telling me things I didn't want to know, things I didn't want to hear, but he didn't care. Nothing personal, just need your blood. Without it, she'll lose her church. Don't take it personally. Tell me, is there anyone in this world who wouldn't feel a bit of spite after being put through such torture? Like, jeez. How was I supposed to let that slide? No one's that much of a saint. My trust had been betrayed and I was supposed to turn the other cheek? A man had barged into my home uninvited and cut off my arm, and I was supposed to smile and take it? Is there anyone, anywhere, who doesn't feel even the slightest bit of hatred, ever? Is there anyone in this world who could just laugh and brush off this level of abuse? Tell me, is there? I would think not. How could I not hold a grudge? How could I not despise them? How could I possibly forgive them? Tell me, please. Tell me, how could I? She needs the money. I needed some way of getting enough money to keep her church running. So the Lord made me an offer. I brought him the witch with the miracle blood. He would finance a whole new church for her. The Lord? Why him again? Why couldn't he leave me alone? After trying to kill me during one of his blood sabbats, why was he after my blood once more? Had he learned it really did have miraculous powers and decided he wanted me back? You get to be the sacrifice, to keep her church from collapsing, to keep her world from collapsing. Sacrifice? Excuse me, what? And what's all this about keeping her church from collapsing? You murdered a carriage full of innocent people, and you're trying to protect a church? Are you out of your mind? Churches are where people go to commune with God, to speak with my Father. How dare you soil those sanctified grounds with your filthy hands, you beast! It's insulting, sacrilegious, repulsive. Just what do you think you are? So don't take it personally, witch. I'm not a witch. I'm a saint. I was a saint. My blood exists to do the Lord's work, not to satisfy the avarice of man. Why is this happening to me? The man brought me back to the city, but instead of taking me to the Lord's manor, he brought me to a church in the city's outskirts, though, to be honest, it looked more like an estate than a church. The church also served as a hospital, offering free care to less fortunate children, the poor, and the infirm. That was when I learned why he had said they needed money. The owner of the church offered unconditional assistance to anyone who came. Even when food and supplies ran low, they would ration their own in order to keep helping others. As a result, the church was perpetually on the verge of collapse. The church was run by a woman, something exceedingly rare for the time. There were no priests, all management was handled by a single nun, who everyone referred to as the Saintess. I was the saint. Why was this woman, who didn't have the ability to perform miracles, being worshipped like she did? Why did the people of the city idolize her? Why were their smiles all directed at her? Why was I not in her place? The man carried me to the top of the observation tower. It was there that I had my reunion with the Lord. Observation tower, you say? I was to spill my blood for the people of the city, but also for the Lord's profit. He was not offering free aid, but selling it as medicine. He claimed it was a miracle elixir, telling no one that it was actually my blood. It was mixed with a beautiful red wine, and drinking it would cure you of any ailment. If they knew it was actually the blood of a witch, they would think it unclean. They would fear it. She's having good times. Kobold? Maybe? I don't know. Even at the most Yokopo of his chapter, he didn't strike me as the guy of like, I need everyone to envy me. That didn't really seem to be his MO or his personality. But also, I don't know. There we go. I remained imprisoned for a long, long time. In the beginning, the swordsman guarded me. Though before long, the flaxen-haired young man showed up as well. Ooh. Yeah, this lord doesn't care about power for himself. He just wants other people to be like, damn, I wish I was him. But doesn't actually care for the power part of the money or anything. He just wants people to be like, if only my life could be his. Presumably, one severed arm wasn't enough to keep his sister healthy for long. In listening to their conversations, I learned that to ensure that no one else could get in, the observation tower was sealed with 3 locks. The Lord, the swordsman, and the young man each held one of the keys. Okay, well, never mind. That absolutely cements it, though. Yeah. Cool. Once again, like 2 sentences later, the game answers. I was their secret, locked away in the tower for them to drain of blood away from wandering eyes. Time went on, and I grew progressively weaker. I lost the will to eat and the will to live. So if we go by this, it's actually... It's Jacopo, Bestia, flaxen-haired boy, right? That's at least that was the order they encountered her. Maybe not the order they ruined her. Maybe not the order they destroyed her. But in order of first meeting is reversed. And if we go by the order that they functionally ruined her, I'd still say it's Bestia, flaxen-haired. It's still... I don't know if what they're doing... Is what they're doing now worse than what the Lord did the first time? We're in levels of messed up that, like, can one really be said to be more messed up than the other? That's true. What they're doing now is collective. I lost the will to eat and the will to live. My only view from the tower was the clouds through a window high up on the wall. Occasionally, a pigeon would fly in, sometimes a butterfly, and I would glare in envy as it fluttered around, free to come and go as it pleased. And soon it was spring. Every spring, the church held a festival to pray for the coming year's harvest and the people's well-being. I could hear the bustle from far below through the window as everyone rushed to prepare. I heard the flaxen-haired girl's voice, who had regained her health drinking my blood. I heard her brother's voice, who had betrayed me. I heard the nun's voice, who played saint in my stead. I heard the barbaric swordsman's voice, who chopped off my arm. And I heard the Lord's voice, the root of all of my suffering. I heard people... Well, I mean, if she's going to refer to him as that, which isn't inaccurate, I would definitely put him as the first. Yeah, so it still ends up him, Bestia, Flaxen. Heard people praising the saintess, though I, the true saint, was locked in the tower. I heard people thanking the Lord for his generous donations and miracle medicine, though it had all come from me. Propped up on my suffering, they cheered and clinked glasses of my bloody wine. Those merry, peaceful, cheerful, spirited sinners' voices resounded in my tower, and at noon on the day of the festival the church bell tolled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and with the 12th chime, I died. As the bell's last pealing faded into silence, the tower doors swung open. Standing on the other side of it were the 3 men. They must have wanted to drain a little more from me to use in the feast, but they arrived at the worst possible moment. The flaxen-haired young man was the first to express his consternation. Why, I never wanted her to die. Was she not eating? The Lord gave my corpse a casual glance, and said stone-faced, "Seal the tower off. Understood? No one finds out about this."
There are big titties sitting behind the desk.
Oh, I was like, what? I saw the quote. Okay. Yes. How could you be so calm? Do you understand what you've done? Pinning the blame on me? How nice it must be to be able to distort reality with panic. The swordsman, who had been silently observing the Lord and the boy conversing, interjected. Just as guilty as any of us. Not only did they not mourn my death, they argued over whose fault it was. There was no regret, no remorse. The young man muttered absent-mindedly, I never wanted her to die. What did his intentions matter, though? It was his betrayal that had ultimately tethered me to this mansion. The fact that they didn't grieve my death, and instead squabbled amongst themselves like filthy rats, was the final straw. How could I not despise them? I don't believe I actually had the power to perform miracles when I was alive. It was all faith, the illusion of belief. I was neither a saint nor a witch. The blood wine was only effective because people placed their faith in the other saintess. I was only ever human. I'll say, Panda, how's it going? Went off, was confused. Oh yeah, no worries. How you doing? Welcome. Welcome into the chat. Let me get a quick shout out for you. We are towards the end of this game. This is not a happy story. Wanted to give you that forewarning before, but hold on. There we go. Just vibing? Hell yeah. That's a good thing to do on a Sunday night. Good thing to do on any night, really, but but yeah, just that warning. This is not a happy tale. So, if that breaks the vibes you're aiming for, I will not feel offended if you're like, I'm going to bounce. I get it. Wanted to give that warning before you're blindsided by tragic things happening to people. It would be rude to not. So, But yeah, hope you're doing well. Hope, Sunday's almost over already. Other than the heat, the week's hopefully going to be okay. I got Final Fantasy Draft Tuesday, and I got more cards Friday. That's always nice, so, yeah. Closure about the house. Yeah, so the house is the church where she was killed in, and drained of her blood until she died, and all these terrible people. But honestly, I'd argue the betrayal almost hurts the worst. Almost. But then, in that moment, an actual miracle occurred. My father bestowed upon me his power. Or perhaps it was the devil. who lent me his strength. But the devil was not capital He. I was looking down upon my own dead body, my own wretched self. There was nothing beautiful about the pile of bones I'd become. Different twisted ways, at least, yeah. I could almost smell the rotting flesh. That was once a saint. I laughed at the thought. It was absurd, ridiculous, and infuriating. They would pay. Those who had cast me into this hell, who had mocked me, who had done this to me, who had made a witch out of me. Hatred coursed through me, revulsion at everyone on these grounds still smiling. They would know just whose dead shoulders their little party was resting on. If they wanted so badly to call me a witch, then a witch I would be. I would kill them, every last one of them, place a curse on their souls. And so I made my wish. Most people might consider it a curse, but to me it was most certainly a wish. And my father, or maybe the devil, granted that wish. From the garden there rose a scream. The flaxen-haired young man knew that voice better than anyone. He went deathly pale, darting down the spiral staircase until he reached a window. A young girl was on her knees, vomiting blood in the grass. The young man let out a yelp as he descended the remainder of the staircase. As soon as he reached the garden, he lifted the girl in his arms, but she had already perished. Realizing this, he cried to the heavens, saying the one thing he should have kept to himself. The witch killed her. The blood of the witch killed my sister. That wine you're drinking is no medicine. It's the blood of the witch. You're all drinking witch blood. She died at 16. Jeez. Crushed by the loss of his only family, the young man picked up a silver fork and plunged it into his own throat, ending his life. Naturally, there was an uproar. Goblets of wine crashed against the earth in rapid succession, as the people holding them fell to the ground and vomited or convulsed. The nun was the first target of their outrage. What she had claimed to be medicine had turned out to be blood, an unclean substance. The blood of a witch, no less. A servant of the church, a servant of the Lord, had given her followers blood to drink. And at this, their indignation surged uncontrollably. The people surrounded her, tying her up and throwing her to the ground. As they prepared to inflict righteous justice upon her, the swordsman soared down the stairs and on into the garden, plunging his blade into anyone standing near the nun. The cries of agony ringing through the church grounds were ear-splitting. It was no longer a place of God, but hell on earth. Hell built up by the hands of man. Hell painted red with the blood of their brothers. The people armed themselves with anything they could find and went after the men. Yeah, okay, a guy that's skilled with a katana, and you're just gonna be like, I got a shovel, let's take him. As much of a beast as he may have been, he stood little chance against such numbers. Alright, I take it back. I lied, sorry, mobs. When it is like 100 to 1, 100 shovels might be okay. It is the fate of a beast to be exterminated by those he terrorizes. And once he was gone, the nun had no one left to protect her. She too was consumed by their frenzy. All that remained was the inextinguishable inferno. Hysteria and despair, madness and outrage, and no outlet for it. It was a revolt that made the slaves' uprising at the Lord's manor look like a game. Eventually, their rage found a new target, the Lord. It was only natural, for he was the true villain. He was the one who had given money and the witch's blood to the church. He was the one who had profited off it. And above all, people often resented those who stood above them, particularly in times of unrest. The city resounded with cries for the Lord's head. He looked down upon it all from the safety of the observation tower. He could do nothing but watch as his domain burned. I can only imagine how painful that must have been. But before long, having seemingly have made his peace, he began ascending the spiral staircase. Now, clearly, this wasn't enough for her. He opened the door at the bottom, revealing himself to his people. But before the door had swung all the way open, before he had a chance to say his final words, someone ran a blade through his chest. With that, the raging furor mostly settled down, but it was hardly the end of the destruction. Mere days later, a plague befell the city. Dreadful black spots covered the flesh of the infected. They writhed in pain, screaming and vomiting blood. Ghastly howls echoing through the streets, as though the whole city had been possessed. It became a cursed land. In their diseased haze, the people muttered again and again, "We've been cursed by the witch." In less than a week, the entire city was dead. My body was left abandoned at the top of the observation tower. It must be, yeah. She was the creator of the Black Plague. Maybe, like all other things with her miraculous miracles involving her life, it was blind, stinking coincidence, but... And as if to seal the curse away in their final days, the people shuttered all the windows, wrapping the house in darkness. It's possible that was no miracle either. You can easily explain what happened to them. Locked away for so long in that dirty tower, maybe I caught some kind of disease, and then, when the people drank my blood, they too were infected. Hardly anything out of the ordinary about that. The first to die, the girl, had already been ill. Her body merely chose the worst possible time to yield to her ailment. Isn't full reality? Yeah? Yeah. Fourth tale happened before Morgana was created. True. Maybe she got that powerful in death, and the fact that he was clearly approaching his death, he could kind of hear her. I don't know. Maybe this is earlier than we thought, and that's not the Black Plague, and it just happens to work out that this town had something similar to it and, like, died. Maybe it's kind of like, what was it? The Death Stranding in Death Stranding, that literally it happened, and then it happened at all points in time, and it had always happened. Maybe she just became one of those things, like. But I'm thinking it just has to be before. Like, I'm thinking this isn't the type of game that's going to be like, yeah, she transcends time. I think it's honestly just going to be before. That's my guess. But maybe I hit X and the game explains to us like it usually does. Indeed, it was nothing more than a fluke. An improbable stroke of luck. An inevitably unfortunate accident for the city and those three men. And an indescribably fortunate accident for myself. Because even she's admitted, the only place she has any dominion is over death. She has no power in real life. She was not a witch. She did not have power. Definitely does raise the question of how Mikhail heard her, but maybe just spending 10 years in her house, eventually some of that influence just rubs off? I don't know. She's out in the timeline of the religion. Okay. I said nun. Was nun not a thing back then? To be fair, Morgana narrating to us referred to her as a nun, but at the time she said the people there that she led the church, that church, and people called her the priestess, or the saintess, sorry. She did not say that people called her a nun. She, narrating to us with the knowledge she has now, referred to her as a nun. That might have been her just using a term we could understand. That would still check out. The people called her the saintess. So maybe, or maybe it's a loophole. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe maybe? But I wish to believe it was a miracle. That even if my blood didn't have healing properties, and even if I wasn't a saint, my wish, my curse, was what caused that uprising. That was my miracle, granted to me by God or the devil. I chose to believe that, and that my miracle took on its true form thereafter. 100 apparently, okay. My curse had brought death upon the three men, but for whatever reason, my rancor was far from sated. They had died, so what? Death is but a transient agony. It's nothing compared to what I went through. So I made my next wish. I wished for their reconstruction. I wished eternal suffering on their souls. I wished to trap them in a never-ending cycle of pain and hatred. This was my wish for the flaxen-haired young man. He treasured his dear sister, and he desired a quiet life. So I wished for him to have just that, and I wished for his dearly beloved sister to love him more than anything in the world, for his world to be destroyed by love gone too far. This was my wish for the beast-like man. He was conscious of his tendency for violence, and he yearned to be more human, so I had his inner beast toned up just a little. I saw to it that he would never be human, so he would never have the peace he so desired. My wish for the Lord was more straightforward. He seemed to have great affection for wealth and authority, so I ensured those were the only things he could ever have. Who needs love or friendship when you could be drowning in power? Once he had lost everything, his solitude would be his only companion. Okay, yeah, that wishes can come true, as long as you always hold fast. Never stop wishing. Never surrender. They can come true. Eternal suffering on all their souls. An endless cycle of reconstruction and unavoidable tragedy. Tell me, my dear, do you sympathize with me? Will you curse them with me? Will you take my hand and revile them with me? Oh. Okay, it's fading scene. I thought it was actually going to ask a prompt. That said, still going to save just because I want to. This time, when my body crashes into the tower's stairs, I'm unable to make a noise. The obstruction is less mental and more physical. The excruciating pain. So intense I can't even eke out a scream. My vision is distorted, my mind thick with fog. I feel like I'll fall into a bottomless pit if I lose my grip on my consciousness even slightly. Yeah, well, it's one of those things that, when summed up like that, and you skip a few years, like, compared to some of the stuff we've seen, it's like, well, maybe that wasn't that bad, but, like, she was 9. She was held as a slave to a lord and bled in front of them so they could consume it for their parties and revelries at 9. She was sold by her mother at the age of 9. No, she was sold by her mother at the age of 6, right? She was sold at 6. No, it's not. Okay, she was sold at 9. Still, either of those, like, come on. We went through her history in the course of what, maybe an hour, hour and a half? But each of the things described was happening daily, weekly at best. And add on to that the actual betrayal of the flaxen-haired kid. Like, she only knew a brief period of happiness in her whole life, and even that only kind of put everything else into more stark contrast. I'm not saying there's no fictional character that has ever had it worse. I'm saying she had it pretty bad. She had it pretty bad. And then to have not a single person know or mourn her death, and have them just be like, well, it wasn't my fault. I feel like that's just the insult to the injury of everything else. Yeah, I'm sure there are fictional characters who have had it worse, but hot damn, she's pretty high on that list. Through the haze, I see my own severed left arm, reflected in a pool of blood. I see my face, large chunks of flesh peeled off. Look at you, trying to crawl up those stairs like a worm. Pathetic. It's like I'm looking at my old self. I can barely form a coherent thought. I can't lament her inhumane fate. Can't mourn for her, or be shocked by the revelation about the 3 men in her history with them. Pain fills every corner of my mind, every nook and cranny of my body. You figured it out by now, haven't you, my dear? You'll never make it to me. It's not possible. But it's not your fault. It's not because you're weak. There's simply no one who can bear this pain. You're allowed to give up, to rest. There is nothing wrong with that. The pain, the crushing weight, it's miserable, isn't it? but all you have to do is turn back, and it'll all go away. The witch whispered her sweet temptations. You've put in a fine effort. There's no shame at all in throwing in the towel. Her voice is soft, gentle, pleasant, saccharine. Concede defeat. If I do, it'll all go away. The searing pain spreading from the stump of my left arm. The sensation of being perpetually drained of my blood. The miserable solitude of staring at a door that never opens. The laughter I can hear through the window. My miserable wailing and this maddening hatred. I can end it all. That's right, it will all be over. You have the power to make it stop. Make it all stop. No, I can't let that happen. No, I have to get her back at my side. I'll do anything to take her back. Even if it means I end up 1,000 tiny scraps of meat, I will not give up on her for any reason. You won't, will you? Oh, such beautiful resolve. Willing to sacrifice yourself to save the girl. Like a hero of legend, or maybe a fairy tale prince. No, I'm no hero and I'm no prince. I am a human, an ordinary man. I don't have an extraordinary potential. I'm not a courageous leader or a charismatic general. I'm just a regular man, in love with a regular woman who refuses to lose her. I don't need any other accomplishments, only that. It's all I need, because I'm just a regular man. My one act of resistance doesn't matter what you say. Doesn't matter how much you cut me up. Nothing changes what I have to do. I have to take her back and set her free of this mansion, nothing else. And never will I back down on that. Arms or no, as long as I can move, I must push forward. I must make my way to the woman who waited for me for so long. Up to the top of the tower, forward, ever onward. Dragging my bloody body, paying the pain no mind, I once more arrived at the top of the observation tower. I place my hand on the door, holding myself up with my lacerated right arm. Take a moment to catch my breath, then lift my head, gaze into the void and shout her name. Morgana! I pity you, I truly do. You are a saint shackled with an unfathomable fate, and for that I am enraged. As I felt your pain, as I watched your life, I too felt a burning hatred for those three men. If you truly feel that way, then why can't you stay here with me? We're all dead anyway. We've reached our ends. Do you honestly think there's anything more for us? There isn't. The end is the end. So what do you say the three of us, me, you, and Giselle, torture the three of them and everyone they cared about? Make them suffer here for all eternity in this house. And that way you and Giselle can be together forever too. That's not an option. Why not? Because hatred only brings you pain. Oh, that's brilliant. You spouting such stupid platitudes at me. I can't believe my ears. Save your nonsense moralizing about how hatred does you no good. I won't hear it. I'm doing just fine for myself, my dear. In fact, I've never been better. I feel wonderful. Did you think that would be enough to persuade me? Really? How disappointing. And here I thought you understood me. Morgana, why don't you say what you really think? Go right on ahead, hate them as much as you want, but keep me and Giselle out of it. Why don't you just say that? I do feel bad, truthfully, for all the time we spent together. Never once did I ask about your life. I'm so focused on myself. And in the end, I pushed you away. That you did? You wanted to be with Giselle, so you pushed me out. I wish I had asked you sooner. Wouldn't have changed anything, though. One puny man knowing what I went through would hardly be enough to erase the loathing I bear. It would have turned out the same regardless. There was nothing you could have done for me. There is nothing. Still, I would like to apologize. Had I known what you carried in your heart, perhaps I could have chosen my words better. Instead of rejecting you, I could have chosen some other response. I cannot remain in this house, nor can I allow her to stay either. So I would like to apologize for both my past actions and my present. Well, in that case, open the door, Mikhail. Take another moment to catch my breath. Then I gather my strength into the hand on the door. Blood seeps from my fingertips, slowly trickling down the rough surface. It reminds me of my death. Coming for you. I push open the door, praying that it will be the last. That beyond it lies light for Giselle, and if possible, that it might cast a bit of light on Morgana's heart as well. What? However, why am I in my bedroom? What I find behind the door is the last thing I expect. Huh? As she appears from the shadows of my chambers, I can't conceal my surprise. Giselle! Is this another illusion, Morgana? No, it's not. I'm the real me. Thank you for coming all the way here for me. She's thanking me. So why isn't she smiling? That was very kind and courageous of you, Mikhail. I'm deeply moved you would have such compassion, not only for her, but for someone like me. But do you know what else you are? You're a worm. What is it this time, Morgana? What do you say we pull back the curtain, my dear? What curtain? There's one detail that hasn't come to light. This isn't your first return to the mansion, is it? You've been back numerous times, each time not remembering her, and each time hurting her even more. What are you talking about? What am I talking about? Oh, you know good and well, my dear. Or do you honestly believe that all the other pieces were in the rightful places, and you alone were some exception? I never. Tell me, how was it? Living in so many different eras, not knowing who you were, and playing with all the different men. No, you're out of your mind. You make it sound like I was not like, my dear. You are the white-haired girl. Enough. How could anyone possibly confuse me with her? To tell you the truth, I couldn't see you as anyone else. Your white hair, red eyes, porcelain skin, and your name. Tell me, what about you isn't the same? We're not the same person. I saw the letter. What? The one you had hidden. No. You didn't think that was worth mentioning? No, Giselle, I didn't mean... You're exactly right, my dear Giselle. He deceived you. He kept a very important secret from you. With her, so if you pronounce it completely different. Yeah, exactly, see? I don't get it. They're totally different. Despite showing up before you multiple times, you cast her aside again and again. No, that wasn't me. It wasn't. It all makes sense now. Nothing you ever did was for me. Giselle, Go on, Giselle. Tell him exactly how you feel. Okay, please don't say it. Not that, please, I'm begging you. Stop, please, don't, Giselle. Not actually. Please. Don't say it. Not a man at all, are you? Disgusting. You're the only one who could have been, my dear. The only one who could have been the white-haired girl. To be fair, I'm not saying I agree with any of the stuff going on here, but I honestly get the feeling that her revulsion is at the lie, not at what the lie was. I don't think she's like, you're actually a woman. I think it's more like, we've been through this much for each other, and you still couldn't tell me this base thing about yourself? This core thing. Yeah. And when it was hidden in just the years that we're alive together, might be just one thing, but it's been hundreds of years and passings and waitings. Yeah. The next moment, my whole world comes tumbling down. Yeah. Correct. I could have borne anything. Losing my arm, having my face torn off. Any amount of pain, I could have handled it. For you, I could have done it. But this, hearing those words, coming from your mouth, being rejected by you, that I cannot. Those words, they bury me alive. You're the one person I never wanted to hear them from. Yes. I mean, I'm sure the hair and eyes didn't help, but yes. When I learned my father, Antonin, had passed, I wrote 2 letters, one to my brother and one to my mother. It was the first time I had found the courage to face my mother, to open up to her. I wanted to show her who I was, convince her that I wasn't cursed, so I could be myself when I returned to the capital with Giselle. Dear mother, there is something I wish to tell you, something that means a great deal to me. So I ask of you, please, hear me out. And I ask of you, please accept it. Mother, I no longer bear any resentment for my present lot in life. Nevertheless, I would ask of you to concede one thing, that I was never cursed, that I was always your son, that I am Mikhail, not Michelle. I have found someone whom I care for dearly, a woman, and I love her with all my heart. I would like to spend the rest of my life with her. I do not wish for much, simply to have a quiet life with her, to go through our days together, man and woman. That is the one thing I want. Mother, I know you're aware that my body is no longer female. I am a man. My heart is male. And I ask of you to please accept that. I have no grudge with you. In fact, I am incredibly grateful to you for bringing me into this world. Love, your dearest son. Shortly after sending that letter, I was killed. I'm dragged down, against my will, into the darkness. Beneath me spreads my own past, the door I swore never to open. But despite all my efforts to resist, the door sucks me in, into a world I never wanted to see again, a history I never wanted revealed, a past I never wanted anyone to see. Nonetheless, the door opens. Seventh door. 1086 to... I cannot stay late tonight. It's been a busy weekend, though good. I haven't had a lot of sleep, and I do have work tomorrow. And I don't sleep well in the heat. I'm willing to play this to time. I'm absolutely willing to play it to time, but if we do that, we accept the fact that when it hits midnight, it doesn't matter where we are in the story, we're pausing it. And I kind of get the vibes that in an hour and a half from now, we might not be at a point where we want to pause it. But I'm willing to poll the audience. Do I keep going, or do I stop it here and pick it up next time? I can do either, but I cannot go late. Okay? I don't think I'm close to the end, but I get the feeling we still might hit a point where it's just like, I don't want to end here. I'm willing to risk that if that's what the people want. Totally down for that. But I cannot stay late. That is just, I can't. I have to get to bed. In fact, I'm sweaty and nasty enough. I need to shower before bed, so I won't even be. So, like, I'm willing to play it to time. 100%. If we got 2 people saying play it for time and one saying, I also get the vibe that we might not want to stop there, I'll go with the 2. But I wanted to make it clear that I can't stay late tonight. Alright? There were 2 things out of the ordinary about that baby. The first its parents embraced, and the second they wholly rejected. Although, it was some time before the baby's second peculiarity emerged. And until it finally did, no one was any wiser, not even the child itself. Its mother surely enjoyed that brief period of happiness, before her child finally realized the truth, blind to the fact that the moment it had let out its first cry, everything came crashing down. To this day, she still doesn't know the child she gave birth to, that she let loose a curse upon the world, a curse that turned angels into demons, humans into witches. My God, look at that. She's so beautiful, isn't she? Have you seen her laugh? Not yet, I haven't. At any rate, that color certainly is something else. God's gift to us. No, she's an angel sent from heaven. An angel? Yes, I can see it now, Liddy. Her white hair and almost translucent skin, it's beautiful. Why, she opened her eyes. Maybe she felt you nearby. Do you like your father more than me? Is that it, sweetheart? Gorgeous, aren't they? Such deep, enchanting color, like two little jewels. Ah, that they are. Magnificent shade of red. I've never seen anything like it. Where's Sue? I wasn't going to say it. Wasn't going to say it. Thought it. Wasn't going to say it. And this is our child. She's special. I can feel it. We have to take good care of her. She needs a name. One that's just as special as her. You already chose an Antonin. You were the one begging for a girl. You do it. Besides, I already had to rack my brain for the boys' names. Now it's your turn. You really going to let me? My, it's quite a lot of pressure. Name her after an angel, then. Oh, I like that. All right, then. We'll call her Michelle, after the archangel Michael. I'm going to continue with this. You can't stop me. But it also does differentiate the two names. While I can't retroactively say that was my goal, it doesn't hurt that it works out that way. Oh, Michael, you're right. Sorry, that was a normal Michael. This game. All names of that ilk just look like Mikhail to me now. Now grow up to be the beautiful as an angel, my Michelle. I've always wanted a little girl. With her snowy white hair, skin so pale you could see the veins beneath it, and her ruby red eyes, she was a very peculiar-looking little girl, and her mother showered her with love. She truly believed her daughter was an angel sent from above, born as a human child. The blessed babe, born a girl, was given an angel's name. Michelle. Me. Checkmate. I see. That's what you did. Curses, I completely overlooked that. I thought you were advancing with your pawns, but that was all a diversion. You're too short-sighted, Dieter. You need to look at the big picture. Sometimes it's the tactician and not the soldier holding the sword. Ha, you got me. You're quite good at this, Michelle. What inspired you to take such an aggressive strategy? It was not inspiration. It was derivation. Derivation? Chess is in many ways similar to real-world tactics. Ah, my military text. You haven't read all of them, have you? I have nothing but time. Impressive. Even I haven't read all the books in my room. You planning to join the order with that kind of knowledge? You jest. You're the one who's going to be a knight, Dieter. Ha, that I am. War is the man's job, after all. I want you to be there to welcome me home. Excuse me. Dieter, I'm in a bit of a bind. Oh, hello there, Michelle. Didn't know you were home. I didn't know you were home, George's. Just got back. Yep. Oh, playing chess again, are you? Let's see. What do we have here? Get away from the board. Yikes! You got trounced, huh? And you call yourself her big brother. As if you're any better. It's not funny, George. cannot approve of someone who can't keep up with the flow of battle becoming a knight. Given our family's rank, you would eventually be put in charge of other soldiers. What? Are you worried about me? No, I'm worried about the soldiers you'd be put in charge of if you can't even win a chess match. No, I'm saying, I've been blessed with such a caring sister. But fear not. I have a guardian angel after all. Where's the logic in that? Sorry to interrupt your moment, but does nobody listen to me? And clearly not, unfortunately, but, you know. Now, don't pout. So what seems to be the problem, George? Yes, listen to this. The Royal Court is holding a swordsmanship show. Didier? What? What? Why? Why do this to me? Okay, it's not even letting me copy that. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So if we're gonna go with French.
Didier.
God damn it. Well, may as well see how wrong I'm pronouncing this.
Georges.
Not necessarily wrong. Got one. Always spoiled by French. The Royal Court is holding a swordsmanship show, and for some reason, I was selected to participate. See, you're right, but you know what's not going to happen? I'm not going to be streaming those. All of my mistakes will be for my own knowledge and not elsewhere. How unfortunate for you. I can already see you on the ground sobbing. And now, that's just mean. Besides, my hands weren't meant to hold a sword. Look at these dainty fingers. Covered in calluses. Dainty calluses! Tell me, why would they have an artist sword fight? That's the whole point, I would think.
Didier was at the atelier saying Taru.
Hold on. We have to make it more French. I was literally doing it. Just copying it over to here.
Didier was at the atelier saying Taru.
Why did you get so worked up? No one's expecting you to win. Maybe not, but we do have a name to worry about. And you know what that means, don't you? Going to lose, that's a given. But I want to do it in style. Feel bad for your sword. Oh, don't be like that. Now come on, time's a-wasting. French Taru. Did they localize... Did they dub any of the Atelier games into French? Are there Japanese Taru? Or are there French Tarus? I guess it wouldn't be a Taru at that point, but it would still be something we put under the Taru command. I don't know what the... Well, okay, well, hold on. What is the French word for barrel? I'm just keeping Google Translate up at this rate. Oh, I'm doing it backwards. Oh. So we have...
Barrel.
And...
Baril.
There you go. I know. It shatters the preconceived notion of what a language could be. Yep. Just so you know, if I train you, I'm going to train you right. All I want to know is how to look good. What is it, Michelle? May I watch? Fine with me, but you know you can't go outside. I'll be watching from the hall. You can open one of the windows facing the courtyard. Still, you need to be careful. You can't spend too much time in the sun. I know. I had two older brothers. The eldest, Didier, belonged to an order of knights that served the church. Look, I have stated multiple times, I have nothing whatsoever against any person of French heritage, nationality, living in that location whatsoever. My beef is with my inability to process the language correctly. 100%. I have no beef with anyone current or future French whatsoever. At all. My beef is my inability to process the language correctly. And it is a hell of an inability. And below him was George, who served as a court artist. It's the Canadians, we blame them. No, we don't blame Canada. South Park already tried. He was, in all likelihood, who would inherit the family estate, as knights were not formally allowed to own property. Nevertheless, the Bollinger family name was upheld by Didier. And then there was me, the youngest, the only daughter. Physically, I was not in particularly good health. Because of the color of my skin, I was hypersensitive to sunlight. I rarely left the estate. My world was contained entirely within these walls. And perhaps out of some sense of pity or compassion, my two brothers spent a good deal of time with me. Didier played chess with me, and George taught me how to draw. And among other things, they taught me how to read and write. For a girl, I was incredibly fortunate. The one thing I wasn't allowed to do, though, was hold a sword. While hardly anything unusual, it bothered me deeply. And it had for as long as I could remember. If I had been told I couldn't do it because I lacked the strength, I probably would have accepted it. The reason given was not that I was weak, but that I was a girl. And with each passing year, that smoldering frustration in the back of my heart grew larger. Come on, put your back into it. Like I said, all I want to do is put on a good show. Oh, you put on quite a show, unless you learn how to swing the sword properly. Give me a break. Out in the garden, my two brothers traded swings bare-chested. All I could do, though, was observe from afar. And every time I found myself forced to watch, I felt a sharp pain like a needle piercing my chest. I needed a needle that seemed to be growing ever thicker. My mother and my brothers loved me dearly, but that didn't change the fact that the outside world lay beyond my reach. I was trapped in the estate by my own body. At first I thought that was the root of my pain, but that answer seemed to contradict something inside me, something I couldn't explain, something I couldn't ignore even as a child. So I searched within myself, trying to find an explanation for the constantly swelling sensation of wrongness inside me. Day after day, I gazed into the cavern of my own heart. My, now what are the two of them doing out there? George was asked to do a swordsmanship show at the Royal Court, so Didier's helping him. Swordsmanship? Oh, I just can't stand those shows. Blades are so dangerous, I can't watch people swinging them at each other. Why don't you come back to your room with me, Michelle? I would love to teach you how to sew. But, Mom, I want to watch them practice. Excuse me. Michelle. First of all, you need to watch how you speak, young lady. You do not call me Mom, you call me Mother. This is what happens when you spend so much time around boys. As your mother, I don't approve of you playing chess or making art. A woman has no need for such skills. It will only make you look insolent. But I want you to grow up to be a respectable woman. That is my job and my dream as your mother. Now come. I would rather you looked at some fine embroidery with me than a couple of sweaty men. Yes, Mother. You are my little girl, after all. Spending time with my mother was agonizing. Was it because her world was so isolated? No, that wasn't it. Her gentle voice, the sweet scent of her perfume, the way she constantly told me how much she loved me, and her diatribes about how wonderful it was to be a girl. Everything she did put so much pressure on me. But above all, she loved to say, "You are my little girl, after all." There was nothing strange about that at all. Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw the daughter of a noble. That was who I was. Yeah, but it's very different things at this point. Embroidery is undeniably an art I can't fathom or practice. I could practice, but you know what I mean. Can't currently do. But in the time of this, it was not an art. It was just something done to clothing, because women care about clothing, and clothing make women prettier, so we make the clothes prettier, so the woman's also prettier. That's the woman's job, to be pretty and wear pretty clothing. Yeah, at this time it was painting, sculpting, maybe music, probably not even. It was probably things that made a physical, tangible thing that rich people could go, oh, look. It didn't encompass nearly as much as art does now. So the only thing wrong was how I felt. But every time I was faced with the reality of who I was, my heart wavered. I had no interest in learning to embroider. I didn't understand why that was necessary. I knew what purpose it served. Everything she taught me I would need when I was wed off to some noble boy, and it was my responsibility to learn those things. It didn't feel right, though. Couldn't even accept the fact that one day I would be married. It was but an ominous shadow lurking in my future. I would have preferred ravaging the books in Didier's room than having a conversation with my mother. Tales of heroes of old and dauntless soldiers. No, Dauntless got shut down. Military text written by tacticians in the midst of war. Thinking about them set my heart aflutter and made me think about my brother. He was training to be a knight. I envisioned armor flecked with rust, a long sword glimmering with the blood of savages. Soon I found myself in my fantasies, imagining how the sword would feel in my hands, the sensation of the hilt beneath my fingers. Oh yeah, that was definitely an era of, like, you painted for religious purposes. Yeah. The sensation of the hilt beneath my fingers, swinging it gallantly like my brother. How heavy was it? How much muscle would I need to carry it? How much impact would I feel in my hands when it struck something? How restricted would my vision be wearing a helmet? How much did it weigh? How hot was it inside? Very. I had no way of answering any of these questions. No, you could answer it was going to be really, 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 really hot inside a suit of metal armor. The rest of them, sure. Yeah, I get that, but like... kill me now. I have some cloth if you'd like to wipe yourself off. Oh yeah, thanks. I'm so dead. You're at it for a long time. Never know indeed to half-ass something once you get started, which I guess is what makes them knight material, but... Are you opposed to him becoming a knight? Well, you know, I'm kind of assumed he'd inherit the estate and handle taking care of everything. So it's like, why has he got to go and be some priest's whipping boy? Don't tell him I said that, though. He wants to fight for the greater good. I don't know. Despite the name, he wouldn't be doing much fighting himself. Anywho, someone as passionate as him might be able to make changes for the better. Changes? He knows what condition the order's in. That's why he's joining. Figure he wants to whip him into shape. Melt him down or forge the whole thing. So he might be able to change things. What are you muttering about, Michelle? Hey, hold it. Pain I felt in my chest when I smelled the sweat emanating from George's body. When I looked at his slender but distinctly male build, I was convinced it was admiration. Did I want to become a knight too? Maybe the discomfort I felt was because I wanted to be like him. Would it all go away if he were able to change the rules and I could join the order as well? I was positive it would. Oh, yeah. Didier. Michelle, hold on. You can't come barging into my room unannounced. I'm trying to change. We need to talk. I said stop. You're a girl. You can't just walk in on a man as you're changing. I see no reason for you to be so self-conscious. Listen to me, Michelle. George told me you're planning to overhaul the order. He told you that? No, I hardly have such grand aspirations. Don't be coy. I believe you have what it takes to do it, Didier. What's gotten into you? You're unusually fiery today. So I want to ask you a favor. When you have enough influence in the order, I would like you to make me a knight too. You what? I'm tired of the way Mother treats me. Always saying I can't do this or that because I'm a girl. I want to learn how to swing a sword. I don't want to do embroidery. I don't care about jewelry or fancy clothing. Michelle, what's gotten into you? So much more interested in the world you live in, Didier. So please. Well, I'll be. Suppose we must have let ourselves spend too much time with you. You too. It's exactly what Mother said. First of all, Michelle, you don't have the strength to hold a sword. Then I'll train until I do. And if that doesn't work, I still have my mind. You know good and well I could. People are not chess pieces, Michelle. But, Didier. But above all, you're missing the most important point. I will not, for any reason, become the kind of man who makes a woman take up a sword. Didier, this may seem normal to you, growing up with two brothers, but I want you to listen to me, Michelle. Men and women walk different paths. Men wield swords and fight against dangerous enemies, and they do so to protect the weak, women and children. I'm here to protect you and your mother. You're no different than her. You don't treat me any different than her. Honestly, what's gotten into you, Michelle? Why wouldn't I treat you like a daughter of the Bollinger estate? Your brother and I, we never meant to make you think... Get it? What? Sorry, I knew what I was asking was foolish. Oh? But I thought you would understand how I feel. Even just a little bit. What was I expecting him to understand? Even I didn't understand the things I felt. I wanted to know what had gotten into me far more than he did. What I had done was no better than throw a temper tantrum. Was I that desperate to become a knight? No. I just thought that the key to the chains in my heart lay down that road, but ultimately there was nothing. Assuming Didier had agreed, and assuming I did become a knight, it wouldn't do anything for the core problem. As I dashed from my brother's room, I snuck a peek at him. His face was filled with an intense perplexity. And how could I blame him? I tried to push a dozen different ideals onto him at once, filled myself with the vain hope that he would somehow be able to make sense of me when I couldn't even make sense of myself. And now, bubbling with unwarranted anger at being let down, I fled to my own chambers. I can only imagine how frustrating that must have been for him. It was the spring of my 14th year. Heavy clouds filled the sky, blocking out the sun and giving the impression of late evening all throughout the day. I, for one, preferred it when the sun wasn't out. Not that sunlight would kill me, but if it was bright enough, the whole world was so white I could hardly see a thing, which meant I could only go outside on days when the weather made most everyone else gloomy. As I was meandering through the courtyard, I spotted someone I had never seen before. A warm breeze blew past, sending up a swirl of flower petals. The girl's dress hung lightly over her frame, tracing her gentle curves. "Who are you?" I asked bluntly, and the girl twirled around smiling. "My apologies, you just have such a beautiful courtyard here, I let myself in for a little walk." Long chestnut hair flowed over round feminine shoulders. It swayed slightly in the wind. The cloud of melancholy dissipated in the light of her smile. "You must be Michelle. You're just as pretty as I heard." "And you are?" "My name is Amy. It is a pleasure to finally meet you." You know what? I'm just going to assume I'm pronouncing even that wrong. Just running on that assumption. Come on.
Amy. Amy.
Amy? Really?
Amy.
God damn it, French. Finally, meet me. What was she talking about? As I stood there, baffled by the strange woman, she stepped towards me, kissing me softly on the cheek. "Thrilled to make your acquaintance, Michelle." Her voice was like someone pouring honey into my ear, electrifyingly sweet. "I'm George's fiancée." I had also stuck another needle into my chest. She was a noble girl by the name of Aimée Joubert. Not looking up the last name because it's only going to come up like once or twice. I'm sure it's wrong. I do not care. Though only 15... I mean, she's about to get married into this family, so the name is being dropped shortly. Though only 15, she was the very image of refined, polished to a shine. No one had told me my brother was to be married. It came out of nowhere, and it seemed I was the only one who didn't know. That evening, when the family gathered around the table for supper, Ime was there too, and they prepared an extravagant feast for the occasion. My father, Antonin, looked so proud of his two boys, Didier soon to receive his assignment, and George soon to be wed. The banquet proceeded smoothly. Not a doubt in the air that we were a happy family. But my mind was elsewhere. I found myself unconsciously chasing Ime with my eyes, watching the way those slender fingers gripped her spoon, her full lips parting to allow a piece of fruit in, her deep red tongue visible but for the briefest of moments, the way all the muscles in her face seemed to relax in bliss as sweet juices seeped into her mouth, the way she spoke, so soft and gentle, letting each sound hang in the air just briefly before intoning the next. She was distinctly feminine, in a different way than my mother. Apparently, Ime was going to be living in the Bollinger estate for some time. Mother was pleased to have another girl around, or more specifically, she was relieved to have found someone other than my brothers for me to spend time with. I'd assumed I would hate being around another girl. Surely she wouldn't be able to play chess after all. But for some reason, I felt much less suffocated around her than my mother. One night, Ime's family and an array of nobles from both houses, social circles, assembled in the estate for a party. A din the likes of which I had never heard in my life filled the great hall. Everywhere I looked, there were people. Servants scrambled every which way, silverware clanged against dishes in an almost constant hum, voices from all directions. I felt moderately ill. Hey, D, feel like we're critically short on waiters. This don't look good for us. And who was it that went about inviting everyone he came across again? Who are these people? They're artists like me. I met them at the court. Let's see, we have some painters, composers, okay, so composers kind of, sculptors, troubadours, poets, writers, you name it. None of them have any connection to the Joberts or Bollingers. Sure they do, they're my friends. And you know, this is me and Ime's party. You can play with your friends elsewhere. I hope you realize we have a reputation to uphold. Off in one corner, several men, presumably George's friends, gathered in a circle. They stood out from the other aristocrats, both in appearance and the air they gave off. The clothes they wore, the embroidery hidden beneath their jacket cuffs, their manners of speech, the way they held themselves. They were, simply put, a far cry from the hard-headed Didier's ideal party guests. Even watching them from afar, it was clear my two brothers ran in very different crowds. The only reason headstrong Didier and free-spirited George were able to get along at all was because they were brothers. If they had been strangers, I doubt their paths would cross much, and if they did, those intersections would be quite rocky. Hey, come here, guys! George's shouting voice pulled my preoccupied mind back to the surface. He summoned his friends, then led them to where I stood. What are you doing hiding in the corner, Michelle? I didn't even notice you. Allow me to introduce you to a few of my friends. No, George put his hands on my shoulders, peeling me off the wall and standing me in front of his male friends. Socialization was the last thing on my mind. I searched for Didier, hoping he would come to my rescue, but he was off trading pleasantries, facing away from me. This is my baby sister, Michelle. Be nice. George, I don't... Gracious, your skin is even more pale than I imagined. It's like something out of a fairy tale. And why have you never brought her with you to the court? She'd be a sure hit. How old are you now? 12, mayhap? Now, don't treat the lady like a child. I'll have you know she's 14. All the more reason she should be out there making friends. The whole court would flip if they knew you had such a gorgeous sister, George. Don't be a brute, my man. Our little angel has to be kept inside for personal reasons. Oh, sounds like I haven't been showing the lady her due respect. I've yet to even properly introduce myself. How rude indeed. Their laughs grated on my nerves. So did the way George spoke as though I was his property. They looked like they were praising me, which made me sick to my stomach. I'd been paying enough attention to notice the man who had asked if I was 12, the rest of them too, examining me from head to toe in search of curves. I was indeed underdeveloped for 14, but what did that matter? I didn't want a body shaped like Ime's or my mother's. Now then, my lady, a proper greeting. The man got down on one knee before me. For a split second, I didn't even comprehend what he was doing. Go on, Michelle. He's waiting. He whispered into my ear. That was when it all came back to me. The traditional greeting performed between a man and a woman. Come on, Michelle. Tell me you forget what to do. I knew. I knew the process. I had that knowledge. Mother had taught me the rules, shown me the procedure. I was to present my hand to the man for him to kiss. All I had to do was hold out my hand, but I was frozen. My body fought tooth and nail against the simple act. The thought of that man putting his lips on my skin sent a chill through me. Why? Why was this a traditional greeting? Why did I have to go through this? Michelle. With the sound of George's frantic voice, my arm creaked up from my side. Then I remembered that despite being his friends, they were still nobility. As wanton as his social interactions may have been, he still had a reputation to maintain. And I understood that. I also understood that, as their sister, it was my responsibility not to do anything that might tarnish either of my brothers' names. Also, by tradition, the man wasn't supposed to actually kiss the woman's hand. The proper way to do it required he simply mimic the act rather than making real contact. That much I could handle. The man kneeling before me gave an uncomfortable chuckle at my reluctance, shrugged, and reverently took my hand in his. Then he stuck my finger in his mouth and sucked on it just to make me uncomfortable, because I wasn't uncomfortable already. And then he pressed his lips firmly. I mean, to be fair, from their point of view right now, functionally the same. He pressed his lips firmly against my skin. It was a vaguely warm sensation on the back of my hand for the briefest moment. What do you... Reflexively, I smacked the man's hand away. George's eyes went wide in horror, and the man gave another playful shrug. I was merely offering you a greeting, milady. What is even that a new experience to you? Your innocence is truly precious. I was half a second away from throwing a barrage of insults, but I bit my tongue and stomped off instead. What? Michelle! Hey! Come back, Michelle! I spent all that time convincing myself I couldn't humiliate my brothers, but now I couldn't hear a word of it. I had drawn a fair bit of attention, and other people tried to stop me too. But I brushed them all off, marching my way out of the great hall. I feel so dirty. Call that a greeting? No, that was no greeting. That was... I'll be taking that, I said, practically swiping a glass of water off a passing waiter's tray. With it, I washed my hand by the window facing the courtyard. But no matter how much water I poured over it, I couldn't erase the sickening sensation of his mouth on my hand. So I rubbed it with my sleeve until my skin was bright red. I wanted to feel something else, anything else, even pain. Think before you act, George. What were you doing inviting people like that into our home? I was angry, and I had every right to be. He had not performed the proper greeting. Even in jest, he had no business actually putting his lips on my hand. It was not acceptable behavior for an aristocrat. He was a guest. He should have been ashamed. Was I angry that he had been disrespectful? No, that wasn't the reason. It wasn't very nice. That wasn't very nice of you, running off like that. The sound of his voice, I couldn't turn back. Felt a sickening warmth almost directly against my back. The man from the great hall grabbed me by the wrist, spun me around, and pressed me against the wall. A bitter scent of wine wafted from above. What the hell are you doing? Tried a second time to get away from him, and that was when reality sunk in. I couldn't do it. All the strength I could muster wasn't enough to make the man's hand budge. My arms were locked in place. Didn't think he was especially strong either. He was hardly built like Didier, and still I couldn't move an inch. Got a tongue like a boy, my lady, but I know some people are fond of that these days. Can't say I mind myself. Let go. Have I always been this feeble? Were my arms truly so worthless I couldn't even escape this brute's grip? Why did I have to get stuck with this body? Now, just so we're clear, I'm not going to hurt you. I'm no monster. I promise you that. Then why are you holding me against the wall? Because I want a chance to try and woo you. I apologize if I made you uncomfortable back there, but the second I laid eyes on you, I knew you were a keeper. Then let go of me. But if I do that, you'll run away. And it's my personal rule to never let go of anything I like. Your brother says you can't go outside, so I've set you loose now. I might never get a chance to catch you again. I wanted to vomit. Apparently taking my silence for approval, the man perked up and kept going. If you're not accustomed to being around men, then why not use this as an opportunity to get familiar? Not a half bad idea if I do say so myself, and I think we'd get along quite well. Besides, I'm a minstrel. Spend some time with me and I'll write all the songs you could possibly want. Get away from me. You really do have the most striking eyes. Makes me want to keep them all for myself. Maybe it's because I've watched Hunter x Hunter, but the idea of keeping ruby red eyes all for oneself paints a different picture than what he's probably intoning here. With music like that, I could write the most incredible songs you've ever heard. Said get back, you creep. Huh? That's odd. That one's never failed me. The man brought his face in just inches from mine and peered into my eyes. I could feel his hot, wine-stenched breath against my cheeks. Gave me the chills. I couldn't understand why this was happening to me. Panic and confusion had my heart racing. Go try your luck with someone else. I'm not interested. You will be soon enough, darling. You've simply never known a man's touch. He drew closer. He was already practically on top of me, but still he closed in. Closer and closer. The world faded out. I couldn't see anything. I could feel his rising body heat so near it made me nauseous. My eyes flung open, but there was nothing there. I could only feel. I couldn't move. My body wouldn't budge. My mind, I kicked the man away, pulled my fist back and slammed it into his jaw. Again and again and again until his face was unrecognizable. Again and again and again and again I beat him. But reality would have none of that. Michelle! Hey, what do you think you're doing? 3 seconds, 10 seconds, longer. I had no idea how much time I had lost. But the next thing I knew, George had the man by the collar. Fell back against the wall, staring absent-mindedly as the two struggled. They traded blows and they traded insults. Before long, they had drawn a crowd. While they went at it, I distractedly drifted away, and I only had one place to go. I didn't even bother to light a candle. I just stared into the darkness. My heartbeat was maddeningly loud in my otherwise silent chambers. What had happened? What had he done to me? Why couldn't I do anything? Last thing I wanted to do was cry. Tears would only serve to worsen my humiliation, only magnify how wretched I was, only make me more effete. I bit down on my lip hard. I had no need for that trash on my body. I dug my nails into my arms. I had no need for that trash on my body. All of this, every last bit of it, that was why I was the way I was. I didn't know how to put it into words. I didn't know how to express this boundless frustration within me, but after enough wordless groaning, a single word slipped from my lips, and I felt incredibly right. God damn it. I knew good and well a girl should not be using such words. Even Didier and George would have gotten an earful from mother or father if they were caught saying that. Regardless, God damn it! It's the most fitting word I could come up with to represent even the smallest bit of my anger and loathing. I knew all I was doing was shifting the blame, that all it would accomplish was making me look pitiful, but I would take that over crying like a girl any day. Let loose a sigh that was halfway to being a scream, then started clawing wildly at my hair. I wanted to yank out every last damn strand of it. I didn't want it. I didn't want any of it, any of this body. But in that case, what did I want from my body? Michelle, may I come in? Michelle! It was George's voice, slightly muffled through the door. The man who had invited these people into this house. I'd be lying if I said I didn't hold that against them. Michelle! At the same time, he had also come to my rescue. Besides, I hated myself the most. Despised myself for being so helpless. I'm sorry, Michelle. I didn't mean to hurt you. It's not locked. After a few moments of silence, George stepped into my room. Your hair is a mess, Michelle. My God, you're bleeding. That was when I first noticed the stinging sensation in my lower lip. A metallic taste spread through my mouth. I'd been biting it much harder than I realized, and there was a lot more blood than I expected. A trail of it was running down my chin, seconds from spilling into my clothes when George wiped it away. Really sorry, Michelle. He could be a real ass when he drinks. And he's a bit of a womanizer at that. Never expected to try to go after you, though. Really, he's an ass when he drinks. That's a womanizer. And you go, I'd like you to meet my sister, who's been inside all this time and hasn't known the touch of a man and is shy and doesn't want to talk to you. A man who's used to getting whatever he wants from every woman who crosses his path. Really? Didn't foresee that this could have happened. Not even some slight like, no, all the pieces make sense now. I get it, yeah. Really sorry, I didn't mean for this to happen. But, there's a chance he may have genuinely taking a liking to you. I would hope not. And if he did, what does that say about him? It's a very different time. Very different time, but still, jeez. Just makes it worse. Sorry. You're right. You want to be with a man you like, I understand. He ran his hands through my hair as if trying to calm me down, at the same time cleaning up the mess I'd made of it. Made me feel like I was some kind of plaything. Excuse me. A joke of a doll. Yeah, this was, it's an insanely different time. Money was power. Men had power and strength. Women were there exclusively to clean house and have children and be trophies and property of the men who had the money and the power. Which, to be fair, is still what a good subset of people think the world should be. Admittedly, all those people are men with money and power, because of course, but pretty sure there's no women looking back at that time like, it was so much better back then. I don't want to be with anyone. I would never ever be comfortable with a man putting his hands on me like that. However, I'm sure you'll find someone eventually, Michelle. Someone that feels right for you. I feel kind of awful for introducing him you to him, but there are plenty of men in the world. You might not be interested now, but that'll change soon. It's part of growing up. You'll be best off forgetting today ever happened. It's dead certain, but apparently that wasn't enough to convince him. The very idea that I might one day meet a man who I wanted to touch me made my skin crawl. Why? Why did I feel like this? Was I just not interested in men? No, if that were the case, I wouldn't admire my brother's bodies. I didn't have any aversion to men. In fact, I enjoyed spending time with my brothers far more than indulging my mother in her woman's world. What I couldn't stand was the particular look men would sometimes give me. Think like that? Really? That's bananas. I mean, to be fair, it wasn't not a thing in the 1900s US, 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. It wasn't not a thing. It might have been not as blatant, but it wasn't not a thing. But why? Why did I not like that? I had no answer. My thoughts were only going in circles. Are you okay, Michelle? He peered down at me, his face twisted in concern, but I couldn't answer him. How was I supposed to articulate this? My anger, my frustration, my irritation, my fear. I had no confidence he would understand. George, how's Michelle? Yume's voice came from the doorway. Inexplicably, I felt like someone had struck their hand in my chest and was now squeezing my heart. Like I'd just been caught in a compromising situation with the last person I wanted to see me. Ah, yeah, she's doing good, aren't you? Yes, I'm fine. Glad to hear it. It's clearly lying, not even looking him in the eyes when I'd said that, but that seemed to have gone over George's head. Yume, on the other hand, you don't look fine at all, she said, a hint of pain in her voice, and then entered the room. George, Father was asking for you. He says it's time to bring the gathering to a close. You should get going. I'll stay here with her. Oh, is he? All right, then. Sounds good. Once the sound of George's footsteps had faded into nothing, Yimei took a seat beside me and, without warning, wrapped her arms around my shoulders. It's much better to talk to another girl at times like this. My heart leapt into my throat, but beyond the shock, I also found myself welcoming the warmth. It was pleasant, unlike the man's. It must have been terrifying, but don't worry, you're safe now. It wasn't really, no. No need to pretend, sweetie. If a man had me pinned against the wall, I'd be scared too. I mean it. I wasn't scared. I'm just disappointed in myself. Alright, I believe you. You're a strong girl, Michelle. There aren't many who wouldn't have been scared. I'll be sure to give George a stern talking to about his choice in friends. Something I learned today is that he's somewhat of a pushover. A lot more tenacious than I thought. As a woman in this world, you have to be. And if you're not, well, you'll figure it out soon enough, Michelle. Of course, even as strong as you are, I'm sure you'll be difficult to forget what happened to you today. George had told me to forget it as soon as possible, and he may that I wouldn't be able to. Was it the difference in their individual perspectives, or was it the difference between the way men and women thought? I wasn't sure. As my head rested against her breast, a bit of my frustration slipped out. I couldn't move my arms at all. He didn't even seem all that strong. I couldn't believe that I was really so weak. It's just the way of the world, Michelle. Men are physically stronger than women, so you'll almost never overpower one. You're not any weaker than a normal girl. Don't blame yourself. Though it wasn't the consolation I had hoped for, her words still filled me with warmth. I had exploited my own weakness to hear more of that soothing voice, and I alone knew how foolish I was in doing so. I don't even know where we're going. Yimei frequently visited my chambers. I didn't know if it was at Mother's request or of her own volition, but I prayed it was the latter. She was a very touchy-feely person, and she seemed to have a particular fondness for playing with my hair. Whenever her voice danced its way into my ears, it would wreak havoc inside me. Being enveloped in her scent day after day stoked the fire growing within me. I did my best to remain as straight-faced as possible, because the last thing I wanted was her catching on. I understood that the thing I was feeling were untoward, to say the least. Your hair is so utterly enchanting. I've never seen hair so white before. I think having color is much prettier. Oh, well, George says white is the most difficult color to make with paint. Ah, they haven't yet started using titanium. There's no greater challenge than capturing the beauty of true white. Living with such a splendid example of the color must have given him a very high standard of quality. Say, Michelle, maybe you can tell me about yourself today. It's just another piece of the backstory if we can move forward. Yeah, jeez. I would love to get to know you better. Tell you about myself. Yeah, we could become even better friends if we found some mutual interest. I enjoy playing chess, and I consider myself quite good. Oh my, chess! Never played. You're such a bright girl, Michelle. Would you like to try? I could teach you. I appreciate the offer, but I think I'll pass. I doubt I would be any good. Oh, okay. What else is there? Say, your favorite kind of flower, fragrance, color of gemstone. Are there any embroidery patterns you're particularly skilled at? $17.91. Jeez, alright. I don't have any favorites, no. I'm not especially good with the needle either. No? Do you have shaky hands then? I wouldn't say that, no. I'm fairly good with a knife, I think. A knife? Ooh, like a kitchen knife? No, sculpting knife. Sculpting? Is that really so strange? It is a bit unusual, I'd say. Well, yeah, but I don't know if it was immediately used as, like, white pigment, but, I mean, probably not long after. But that is the reason why lighter colors of paint are actually heavier. Because in the darker colors of paint, more of that can is filled up with the pigments that are not as heavy as actual titanium. So, using yellow pigments. Weird. Okay. But George does it all the time. His room is practically made of wood chips and charcoal and paint. 1920. Okay. George is an artist and a man. There's nothing unusual about him doing some sculpting. Why is it okay for him but not me? It's Does being a girl really make that much of a difference? Well, why don't we practice embroidery together, Michelle? I get the feeling you spent too much time with your brothers. But now, you have me. I'm sure it won't be long before you appreciate how much fun cooking and needlework can be. She sounds just like Mother. And she gives the same reasons too. Because I'm a girl. That's not an explanation. It's a vague generalization. That said, if I agree, I could spend more time with her. Okay. Wonderful. We'll come up with a beautiful design together. And when you've made something you're proud of, you can give it to a boy who catches your eye. Or, if you'd prefer, you can give it to your father or brother. I would like George to have what I make, though. Well, I've been wondering, did you and George meet at the royal court? Oh, heavens, no! I've never been to the court. One day my father told me I was getting married. And the next day is when we first met. It happened that quickly? What are you worried about, Michelle? Don't worry, I'm not displeased with the arrangement. In fact, I'm quite happy with it. Aristocratic marriages are almost always sudden. And as a woman, you get used to being a piece in their games. But George, he's different. He's a gentleman. A gentleman? Him? You sound surprised. I believe hedonist suits him better. Oh, I quite disagree. I have complete faith he'll do good by me. I couldn't fathom where she found such confidence in him. Especially a man she had only just met. How could she trust him at all? She was nothing but a pawn, and she knew it. So maybe she was simply putting on an act. I had trouble believing her smile was anything but genuine, though. One day you'll meet the right man for you, Michelle. And he won't be a drunk like the guy from earlier. He'll be a kind, hard-working, respectable man. I would rather not find anyone. Huh, I suppose this is all still too sudden for you, huh? Say, how old are you, Michelle? 14. Oh, wow, I assumed you were younger. Do I really look that young? No hard feelings. You're just like a tiny little doll, so small and slender. And look, not one bit of meat up here at all. Hey. She playfully grabbed me from behind, started prodding at my chest. As her delicate fingers slid across my skin, I found myself gripped by very indecent urges. Every heavy thump of my heart felt sinful. She couldn't know, I couldn't let her. Everything I'd been fighting to keep down came hurtling to the surface. You're so cold, you know that? She was touching me like it was nothing, caressing my hair. Was she this intimate with George? Or was it because I was a younger girl that she was keen on putting her hands all over me? Before I understood what I was feeling, my body acted. It was pure, unfiltered impulse. In my attempt to escape from her grip, I twisted around only to find my face inches from Ime's. Slowly gravitating closer, I pressed my lips against the corner of her mouth. Ime sat there flabbergasted. I was equally aghast. Sorry. As I frantically put some distance between us, I'm sure my face was red as an apple, though I didn't know it at the time. Well, that was certainly unexpected. I'm sorry, did I make you uncomfortable touching you so much? Ime was smiling, though it looked forced. No, not at all. And I must have startled you. I'm sorry if I had let you go sooner, we could have avoided this accident. What do you mean, accident? A kiss on the lips is... It wasn't an accident. It wasn't, Ime. I seem to have confused you somewhat, Michelle. What? I know I can be very touchy-feely with you. And you took that to mean you should do the same. No. You can't do that again, alright? You want to kiss your friends, you do it on the cheek. Save the lips for the man you love. I should get going then. George starts getting cranky if I don't give him enough attention. Hold on, Ime. So long, Michelle. She wouldn't hear me out. Once Ime had fled my chambers, that was when I finally comprehended my own emotions. That she had stolen my heart, but Ime was George's fiancée. No, that wasn't the problem. My body, was not meant for her love. I awoke in the middle of the night to pain in my joints. Not enough exercise, I guess. Tried bending and stretching my arms and legs, but it did nothing. So after pondering on it for a bit, I decided to go for a late night walk to distract myself. As I approached the corridor adjacent to the courtyard, I heard a woman's voice. I'm still concerned about staying here. May's voice. Doing my best to remain perfectly quiet, I pressed myself up against the wall by the window and listened in on the conversation. I knew it was improper to eavesdrop, but the sound of her voice had me frozen in place. It's Michelle. I'm afraid I've confused her. Tiny jolt ran down my spine, my muscles all tensing up at once. The sound of my name rising to her lips, but not in the way I would have liked. She kissed me. Well, almost, but how could I have guessed she thought of me that way? Mother told me she didn't have any female friends, and asked me to be the one for her, which is why she had only been coming to see me because Mother had asked her to. I'd been afraid of that. Afraid that she wasn't there to be with me, that she had no fondness for me, that my yearning for her was one-sided. She kind of scares me, the way she looks at me, always watching every little move I make. I'm sensitive to that sort of thing. I can tell what's going through Michelle's mind. Managed to deflect it this time, but I should have never gotten friendly with her. She had seen through me from day one. Damn, her gaydar is powerful. Understood what I was feeling before even I had. It's disgusting. Homosexuality. Homosexuality. Did I hear her right? Something inside me crumbled, and with it came an intense sense of wrongness. There it was again. An overpowering discomfort. That fear coursing through my veins. That repulsion. That irritation. That apprehension. What on earth was I? Did I view Ime as a member of the same sex? Were the things I felt homosexual? I heard Ime sigh from beyond the window. Then the man beside her, and she was confiding in all this in, replied, "She's still just a child." Her voice. And one with underdeveloped social skills besides. Understand that she's going to do and say some inappropriate things. It's not uncommon for a child to mistake admiration for love. And I didn't know this until recently, but when she gets something into her head, she has a tendency to run with it without thinking. Yeah, but like, fair. It is anachronistic, but also, I don't know of another way they could make the point here. So, like, yeah, was not the man's I'd assumed it was. The other day, she asked me to let her be a knight. Can't imagine how she thought that would end any other way. Why? It's not very often there are a woman other than Mother at the estate. I imagine she simply got nervous being around you and something got mixed up in her head. Why was Didier out there with her? I hope that's all it was. May, hadn't you told me you thought George was a gentleman? So what were you doing? Getting so friendly with Didier? Didier, weren't you my ally? Or was that all an act like her? You were going to be a knight, so why were you out here with your brother's fiancée? Glad to have you here, so I hope you can figure something out to make it work. I'll do what I can, but I'm kind of reluctant to say this to you. But something has to change. As it is, she kind of grosses me out. That's true, this is all technically French, yeah. She grosses me out. So what, I'm some kind of sick, disgusting creature? All I had done was show feelings for her. I couldn't be George or Didier. The needles piercing me expanded, both in size and number. Soon I was being skewered by a dozen of them, and the heated sighs rising from the courtyard only served to make the pain worse. All I could do was cover my ears and run. Why? What were you doing out there, Didier? Oh my gross, Ime. Not real. It's all a bunch of lies. This entire house is nothing but a fraud. None of it was ever real. The family gatherings, Ime's smiles, Didier's kindness, George's... What about George? Did he agree to the marriage knowing about them? What the hell are they thinking? I don't know who's really disgusting. Damn it. I will not cry. I will not cry. I can't let myself. Girls cry. Tears are for girls, not for me. I bit down hard on my lip, wrapped myself in my sheets, and pinned my hands hard over my ears. Squeezed my eyes shut as tight as I could manage, tried to get away from the things I had seen. Images of them embracing in the night threatened to flood back into the surface, but I shook my head, casting them off. Praying I wouldn't have any nightmares, I drifted off to sleep. A male context, an obvious extremely negative, no idea about female. Okay. Yeah, the females were just really close roommates, okay? They were just the bestest of friends. The next day, I awoke with a terrible fever. To be fair, they thought that about the men, too. There was plenty of the, you know... I hovered in a sweltering wave of heat, unable to tell dream and reality apart, listening to a seemingly endless stream of crackling noises. Roommates? Also, hey, Pots. How's it going? Welcome to Viperland in the chat. Some stuff's gone down. Some stuff. But yes, roommates. Michelle, who was born Michelle, not Mikhail, and is raised as the daughter of a wealthy household, has roommate feelings for their brother's fiancée. Nervous? I mean, to be fair, that is Danganronpa. That's a death game. Yeah, there's only so many people left. I'm afraid. Yeah. The nervousness only continues as any of those games gets a lower and lower roster number. I have no recollection of what happens in what chapters of that game. I remember the base concepts, but I don't remember the order. It's been a long time. Like, I haven't replayed Danganronpa 1 since I played it on the PSP. It's been a while. Yeah, I know that much, but I still don't necessarily remember what the next one is, but I can look it up in my own time. No need to worry. Like, it's fine. But I definitely don't necessarily remember what the next one is. I remember that one, for sure. But I also knew that one was coming up because of conversations. So... the sounds were coming from inside my body. I thought I was falling apart. Mother was horribly worried. I'd never been the most healthy child, but I'd never fallen this ill either. I couldn't get out of bed. My voice was raspy, like an old woman's. I was genuinely afraid I would wither away and die. Mother called in doctor after doctor to see me, but they all said I was the flu. That bodily pain was common with a fever. While there was a doctor in the house, Mother was able to remain relatively calm. Once they were gone, the anxiety came back. She stayed with me day and night, even for going to sleep. Her hands gripped mine, they held me fast. She had her head bowed as if in prayer. Don't worry, it'll be alright, Michelle. God is watching over you, He will protect you. You are His child. You are His angel sent to earth. He will not forsake you. The doctors say it's just the flu. Though her words seemed to be directed at me, there was a vacantness in her voice, as if they were really for herself. For so long as she had wanted a daughter, I couldn't understand her fixation, but seeing her there through my cloudy eyes, I wanted to apologize for ever thinking spending time with her was agonizing. How are you feeling? Your mother's here for you, don't worry. But the only sound that came from my mouth was a faint gasp. I drifted in and out of sleep, Mother's hand wrapped around my own, and I had numerous dreams. In my dreams, I was a man. In my dreams, I was Didier and I was George. In my dreams, I fell in love with Aimee. And in my dreams, I loved her. You're disgusting. With one word, the dreams twisted into nightmares. My body was torn into fleshy chunks, and I sunk into the darkness. Several days later, my fever was gone, like it had never been there. However, what the? My voice did not recover. And when I attempted to climb from my bed, the murderous pain in my joints came rushing back. Instead of my feet, I landed on my face. My voice was unbelievably deep. And the pain only got worse. Every time I took a breath, it felt like someone hammering a spike into the back of my neck. It felt like my body was falling apart, like my dreams were becoming reality. Michelle! Michelle! When Mother scrambled into my chambers, I remembered the time she had spent at my bedside, and a wave of relief came over me. I reached my hand out in a show of vulnerability, but she didn't take it. She couldn't take it. Mother? What? What's wrong with your voice, Michelle? Ah, I see. You're still not feeling well, are you, Michelle? A look of restrained fear on her face. Mother stepped towards me, placing her hand on my forehead. Her palm felt hot against my skin. You don't have a fever. They did say body of a man, but I hurt all over. My joints. You're still sick, Michelle, but don't worry, you'll be fine in no time. Now, back to bed with you. You're a girl, so you shouldn't be sitting on the floor. It's bad for your back. There's other things that girls have that are bad for their backs, but, doesn't seem to be a problem in this day. As Mother repeated the phrase, "You're a girl," again and again, that nagging sense that something wasn't quite right grew more distinct. Was I really sick? Was this actually my voice now? And if it was, what was I turning into? My voice was certainly not a girl's voice. To be fair, from the get-go, they have always described his voice as, like, middle-of-the-road, hard to pin down, ambiguous. Because I rolled with it, just rolled with a deeper voice for voicing it. But in canon, their voice must have gone from very high to, more ambiguous. It's still a much deeper lowering. I didn't intend anything by voicing it lower. I had no idea. This is the voice I went with, No, Pearl's voice hurts to do long term. It is funny, but Pearl's voice actually hurts to do long term. Like, that's too... I can go there, but to do that for a 4-hour session, I can't do that. I can't. 4 hours of Pearl or karaoke? Pearl. Hard stop. Karaoke I can take breaks in, I can take lots of drinks. I can do plenty of things that land more naturally within my range without having to go way up or way down. Not to say karaoke doesn't hurt after several hours, but like, Pearl. Hard stop, Pearl. No, yeah. Good day, good afternoon, good evening, yes. Good day, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. See, it's not just that Pearl's deep, it's that I add so much, like, I can go deeper, but, like, Pearl is like this. Pearl is gravelly and at the very bottom. The same thing I did for frickin' Von Zeeks, which was a mistake, but I still think it fit him. The Pearl was a joke, the Von Zeeks was because that was actually how I imagined him speaking. Both were not a smart thing to do for a longer-term character. It's okay, Potts. I had to refer to somebody in this game as a disgusting homosexual 20 minutes ago. So I feel ya. It's not quite the same, but like, we've both been forced to say, not forced, we've both had to read some lines tonight that maybe we weren't super into. Yeah. Well, no, in the context of the stuff, it's still not good, but like, I've had to read worse lines. My voice never went back to normal, though, so Mother ordered me to remain in my room. I hadn't recovered yet, and so, long as I was sick, I couldn't be let out. Again, something felt wrong about her calling it a sickness, but I had no evidence to the contrary. I had no way to know I wouldn't get others sick if I exposed them, as she claimed, so I had no choice but to do as she said. In time, Mother too stopped visiting me, and the only people I saw were servants. They did their jobs, but refused to look me in the eye. No one else came to see me, though. Not Ime, Didier, or George. Also Potts. That is not how I thought two of those three names were pronounced when they were introduced to me at the beginning of this chapter, but French. But French. A choice? Yeah. I mean, even the way they're voiced in game is a lot. Yeah. See, some of the voices are a really fun idea at first, and then they just keep happening. I didn't think Pearls was going to be a reoccurring character that stayed in that cast of characters for all of the goddamn trilogy. How could I have known that? How could I have known? Like, I wouldn't have picked that voice for Maya. Or even Mia. Nope. 1 month passed, then 2, then 3. Occasionally, the pain in my joints would withdraw. At other times, it would worsen. Whenever I would drift off to sleep, I would hear the sound of my own joints creaking. Oh, that sounds uncomfortable as hell. I would dream of a woman standing in the courtyard, her soft chestnut hair fluttering in the wind as she twirled to face me, a smile on her face and her breast exposed. That would put a smile on my face, to be fair. That would make me cured of most ailments, I believe. One day, after around 6 months of servants refusing to make eye contact, I stopped one and made a request to have a mirror brought to my room. While he didn't acknowledge me, the next day I had my mirror. By that point, I was fairly certain I knew what was happening to my body. I had no clothes to wear, because none of the multicolored dresses hanging in my wardrobe fit me anymore. Pulling the heavy red cloth covering the mirror aside, my completely naked body came into view. Huh. Something resembling a mix of a chuckle and a sigh of pity spilled from my lips. This is me. 6 months. After only 6 months' time, I could hardly recognize myself. Extending my hand for the mirror, I traced the outline of my bony reflection. My shoulders lacked Mother's curves, and my skin Ime's sheen. I was pale and haggard, but structurally, I looked like my brothers. Obviously, being younger than them and not as active, my muscles lacked any kind of strength, but I wouldn't have batted an eye if I saw myself holding a sword. I was a full head taller than I had been 6 months earlier, and I felt an odd certainty that I wasn't done growing yet. Nope. Staring at myself in the mirror, I traced my name across the surface. Michelle. Don't need the last two. I definitely was not thinking, yeah, I still had like 9 more inches to grow, but I wouldn't get any taller. Mikhail. Huh. For the first time in my life, I liked my name. But I wouldn't say that, so good, I stopped myself. See, it's all perfect. Still didn't think an angel's name suited me one bit. But it was staggering how different it felt now, even if it sounded exactly the same. You can't ban me, Twitch could. But if that was a bannable offense, there'd be no one left on Twitch. Those last 2 letters changed the meaning entirely, and the pronunciation. Except not really. But you know, sticking with it. Turning it from a girl's name to a boy's name. Now this makes sense. Everything was falling into place. Never bannable Lucy Pie would never be allowed on the site. True, she's been banned multiple times, but it was always for outfits, not the things she says. Which is bananas to me. Because even just the clips of some of the things she said is still probably less gooner than than some VTubers out there. Not all VTubers are gooners. I would argue most gooners are VTubers. That does not mean all are the same. It's the same way that not all Homestuck cosplayers are assholes. Most asshole cosplayers I've known were Homestuck cosplayers. They're not all the same, not even mostly the same. But yeah, Twitch doesn't care what you say within reason. Twitch definitely cares if you're showing a hip, though. Like, people would do that? Why would anyone... Okay, I understand from a visual standpoint why someone would watch that. Why would anyone listen to that? No part of that sounds like an auditory experience I would ever want to encounter. Visually, I get it. I'm not saying I endorse it, but I understand. I see the appeal. I can understand why people would watch that on mute. Why would anyone want to listen to that? I feel like it gets obnoxious if I'm just standing here talking to a mic like this. This sucks. There's nothing good about this. And that is far from inside my mouth. I mean, you're not wrong, Pots. For the click or the worried, yeah. My admiration for Didier, the envy I had for my brother's bodies, the feelings I had for Ime, I still refuse. Like, my brain, every time I see that written, my brain has to stop and be like, no, it's not pronounced that way, you have to say Ime. The indecent dreams I've been having. I was always male. You know, actually having a good moment in their life. Just aren't committed to the asthma. I'm not. You're right. I cackled like a fool for the first time in my life. I laughed so hard at the sight of myself, my stomach hurt. It was the first glimmer of light I had seen in this locked room for far too long. This was what I was supposed to look like. My life up until 6 months ago, constricted and uncomfortable. My life as a girl was all a lie. No one could possibly look at me and call me an angel. I feel like even Giselle has referred to him specifically as like looking angelic. But I guess it hits different. I was always a boy, but I'd been told I was a girl, forced to act like one. Of course that wouldn't feel right. I needed to know. I couldn't be the only one who understood. Everyone in this house needed to. Fueled by this one desire, I wrapped a sheet over my shoulders and threw open my door. Do you know what? I get the feeling things are not going to go good from this point onwards, and it seems as logical a stopping point as we're going to get, realistically. We're not going to get a great stopping point. This is as good as any to end on a high note. For them. The thing is, we may not know the exact beats, but we know it only goes downhill from here. But then goes uphill later. You know. Now that I'm actually saving in order, we might be able to find the save point easier, like a smart person. You know, maybe. Oh, I'm going to end up in the house of Fata Morgana. Well, definitely that, but like, I get the feeling it's only going to snowball downhill from here. And not to a more logical ending point for the night. This is it's the best we're going to get, and if it's not, it's the one I'm choosing regardless. We all know how many times I've been like, this is the logical point, and on the next day's stream, like 5 minutes later, literally, it's like, no wait, that was actually it. Crap. I should have just gone 5 minutes, but I stand by my decisions regardless. Whatever. Oh yeah, we heard the entire backstory of the witch, too. She was also, she only lived to 16. And all of those 16, no, 13 of those 16 sucked. 3 of them were really good, which only made the others seem worse in comparison. For now, though, we have ourselves a monster. A quote. Did I not? Oh, I didn't start the bot. That is on me. Yep. Sometimes it disconnects. That was mine. It would never happen. A monster. A quote. A Discord. And, that's literally Mikhail at the realization of like, oh, I've just been a boy. Whew, hot damn. I feel like this is the type of game that when all is said and done, I'm going to go through it a second time with like the knowledge of what I have by the end, and it'll just feel like a different game. But I also have no idea where it's going. Like, the pieces are in place. We know what happened to the witch. We now know Mikhail's story. We knew the base idea of... We had our suspicions. Now we know for sure that this was true. But how is everything going to come together? I thought it was going to be a Yuri because of the cover art. Fair. You're like, that's a fair assumption. But also, considering how many times Mikhail did come back as Michelle, and just, you know, Yuri should have happened but got dodged. There's an ending to this game that is Yuri. Presumably, not, I don't know if there's literally an ending, but I mean there is a conceptual ending to this game, or a route in this game that could have happened where it would have logically been Yuri, and it wouldn't have drastically changed much. It would have just been that in that life they hadn't made that realization. I also wonder if in all the times they were Michelle, whether we never really got to hear their internal stuff during those times. We don't know if they were feeling those same anxieties, insecurities, feelings. We know they were soft-spoken, but we also know that they multiple times fell in love with a biological man, which absolutely goes against 100% what this incarnation of the character felt. Because this was hard revulsion to romantic feelings about men, let alone physical affection with men. I don't know. There's still a lot, but like, we've made it this far, and I have no doubt that there will be answers and all will be made clear. It's just a matter of, where is it going to go? Let's find out. There is a distinct possibility that we don't stream it next weekend, explicitly because I'm really excited for Death Stranding, but we'll see how the weekend plays out. I don't want to say hard no, but I don't want to promise a hard yes either. We'll see how the weekend plays out. And the fact that I'm going to have to get my toes wet in Death Stranding on Thursday, but then not play it Friday, is going to be tough, but I want to play cards. And I can't start early on Thursday because there's the Capcom event right before it. So even if I start early, I'd be streaming the Capcom event, not Death Stranding. And we all know Title Update 2 is just going to happen on Thursday, and I can't believe that this is how everything